Draw is speaking in all chat, so it's a life game for Gladius. I think Gladius is on 7 kills through 4 rounds, if I can do basic arithmetic. I will say, though, what a return for Abnai in this round. He's a little quiet to start the game. Triple kill with the SMG-12 and pulling out of a 3v5 disadvantage with not a whole lot of control to work with, just some flashbangs and some good coordination on the teamwork with Draw. I got very scared here because in the 2v1, it's Draw with the diffuser outside of the objective, as Abnai was the one who pushed in. You don't often see rounds successful when an Ashe has to carry case, but at the end of the day, Revan steering out of the skid, able to pick up the 3v5 man disadvantage, turn it into a round victory, generating momentum with back-to-back successful attacks. And now we're going to see CNE return to the top floor. I don't think the objective choice played much into the result of that round for CNE, but it still does bring some questions to my mind about playing all 4 objectives, as in comparison to returning to this objective where you were so successful the first time around.
Seeing the Scopos come out here from Flacco this time. Good little addition to this roster, seeing what he can do with that. We've seen this very few times so far, so it'll be good to see what Cinta Negra want to do with that, and Flacco specifically. We've seen those shells, those robots used in a couple of different ways throughout the various regions. One major component has been their ability to work a flank. You set one up top on the site, you set one off-site, maybe in this case down below. And while yes, you can provide a little bit of pressure on the roam, as soon as that pressure becomes overwhelming, maybe you take a little damage, you can quickly, quote-unquote, rotate back to the site, switch to the other shell, and play on site as an anchor. So we'll see if that is exactly what Flacco wants to do here. Again, Cinta Negra, this has been so successful for them. The first minute has gone by, but not before CNE have got a kill. They killed Draw, they took him off the board, and that is a big threat to remove so early, not to mention it is the Buck with the skeleton key and all that soft destruction that they've now removed as well.
This pixel position got ripped apart very early on. It was an early win with a Jaeger and a Wamai on the board. One frag grenade tossed in was all it took to remove the idle shell from the Scopos inside of Pixel, and Sidolf has had a hell of a time trying to reclaim the position against more frag grenades and more possible throwables being launched in, as Revan have made the push into Piano and secured the control of the positioning for now. But like you said, Gladius on those early swings, and it is not lost on me in terms of the irony that it was Draw that he picked off first in the round. A minute 10 tick away against Revan as they've started to slow things down, trying to assess the situation that stands before them. CNE still holding very powerful crossfires on the top floor, making it nearly impossible for Revan to progress forward. A lot of utility on their side to catch throwables as well. And Gladius! Draw said he was having a life game, and he's going to continue doing it from down below.
Here's Flacco now above. Pressure starting to build now for Revan. But with 3 players against 5, how much can they really do? Here's Lambe. We've seen Revan come back from this very position just 1 round ago. CNE still need to be careful, but they are fighting back this time. Not letting Abunai find his stride, not letting him get a triple kill. It leaves Quick alone to pick up the pieces all by himself. A 1 versus 4. Gladius is taking a little damage here, but not much else. So much work to do, and he is simply out of time to do it. Gladius will swing him on the red stairs, and that is enough to give Cinta Negra their very 3rd round of the match. Giving it a 3-2 lead right now. Close game, but CNE still working in these early rounds.
Well, Gladius not shy about letting him know that I believe that was a 3K on the round for him. Not sure who got credit with that down on the freezer wall to Piano at the end of the day, but Gladius at least with 3 headshots in the round with a 416. And Revan starting the round off early, like I said, getting rid of that idle shell for basically free against a Jaeger and a Wamai. They're able to thread the needle. I'm not sure if Abunai's Twitch drone got into Piano and did some work early, or if the positioning for that utility was a little suspect on the side of CNE, but the rest of the round plays beautifully into Gladius's hands, being able to apply pressure wherever he pleased. And now for Revan, that's a bit of a tough one. You could lose the opening pick on some aggression, then stall out a little bit inside a Cigar and Piano, not being able to progress. But I do want to give Flacco credit as well, as Lambe had made his entry into Bar, had the case, got the pick, or the first pick for Revan, and started getting the plant down. It was Flacco's read, the ability to push out underneath Skylight without being detected by Revan to stop the plant and really end the round right then and there for Revan. The final round of the first half begins. It's Revan attacking its CNE, looking to try and close out a 4-2 half, which would most of the time be expected on Cafe defense. But for Revan, the opportunity to walk into a tied half would be a welcome sight considering how this game started.
Pulling off that last one, that fourth round, so important for Revan. I mean, this would be a very different situation if this was 4-1 going into this sixth round. Really felt like it. I mean, momentum-wise, round-wise. This one, Revan hoping it's going to be a little different, overpowering the VIP player the old-fashioned way with a shield in his face. 2 kills for Cinta Negra, though, means that this one is even after Quick is able to pick up that kill onto Gladius. A 3v3 here. The initial push from Revan has now slowed down. This is when things are most dangerous for them, because now they're caught between a rock and a hard place. They've bit off more than they could chew, and there is nowhere for them to go. Abonai is alone. Quick, low HP, is now starting to work his way around to group up with him. And while they may be together here on this Freezer side, now they find themselves in a 2v3. It may have started powerful. They have that rush. They have that bit of a initial rush going. But then it just hits the fan, and look at what you have here. CNE saw it, stopped it, and now all they have to do is keep an eye on Abonai and Quick as they work their way around the Freezer side.
It was a good reaction from the defenders on the bomb site to be able to peer through the smoke and react to the aggression as Revan tried to go site direct. Now it's Abonai and Quick to try and pull out of the skid once again. In a 2v3 this time around, Abonai goes charging in behind the coffee desk, but he doesn't carry the case yet again. It's Quick, the last remaining fully automatic weapon on the defensive side, and the coverage is very difficult for a blitz to try and accomplish there. Quick dropped, and now everyone on the defensive side of CNE will swarm Abonai. He's not long for this world, and it is indeed a 4-2 half for CNE.
I mean, that is exactly the performance that CNE wanted. It was 4-2. It feels like a 5-1. But at the end of the day, the scoreline is what matters most. And Revan, instead of finding themselves in a 4-round hole, they are only down by 2, having, as I said earlier, achieved the scoreline that you're looking for as an attacker on this map. Sure, you didn't get 3, but you got 2. You now can go to the defensive half and try to find 4. Certainly not impossible. Something well within, I believe, Revan's rights here. That last round, though, not what Revan wanted to see in terms of that overall result. You go for that rush, you bring a blitz in, and you try to get some momentum going early in the round. Typically with attacks like that, if they don't work in that first 30 seconds, they are not going to work at all. And that is exactly what we saw there for Revan. They may have gotten in the building successfully. They may have gotten the kill onto the VIP player, which seemed like the majority of the purpose of that rush, but they couldn't do much else. They lost 2 people on the entry, and they were unable to swing that back in their favor. So we enter this tech pause here in a convenient time for both teams, as we are right at the halfway point. We can have a bit of a discussion as to what we think is going to happen next. But right now, this is Flynn, CNE, having accomplished what they wanted to do. Revan, they've done the bare minimum. They've gotten their 2 rounds. I'd argue it's still anyone's game as we go into the switch.
Well, with a tech pause, we're staring down the barrel of the face cams for Revan, and Draw still laughing. Honestly, both teams keeping the vibes up at the moment. We've seen, Gladius laughing, Flacco clapping. Seen Draw and Lambe both cheesing it up a little bit in the middle of a tech pause, which again is good to see. You never want to see a team getting down on itself, whether they're up or down, depending on the situation. And I think right now for Revan, again, keeping the mental situated is priority number 1. And I think for that round there, it was close. It was a really good reaction, a really good read from the anchors inside the bomb site to react to the rush. Well-placed Nitro Cell and well-placed timing on that, but also physics, kind of the linchpin on that round, because he stayed K2 for the entirety of that push. Even with an attacker on red stairs, they lost control of coat check when Gladius ran outside a front door to level the man count at 3v3, and yet physics in the middle of really the most awkward position you could be in on that site once you've lost coat check control, he opts to stay, and he gets a kill out of it as well. So it was a brazen play for physics, but it worked out for him, and it worked out for the rest of the team, as that really did leave Revan in a strong disadvantage when it came to guns as well, because one of the remaining attackers left in the 2v3 was Abinai on the blitz. So it was a really, like I said, brazen play for Physics, but it seemed to be a round-winning play for Physics. It gets them the 4-2 half, like you say. Pretty good timing on the tech pause for both teams to regroup and reassess the situation as we go into the side swap. And it looks like all problems are resolved, and we will jump underway with Revan's first defense, and they will opt to go to what was considered the 4th bomb site by CNE. We go to dining and reading now to begin off the second half, with Revan needing to storm back in this one, lest CNE run away with it.
The good part about this bomb site is that it often forces teams to go for that full top floor clear. There's a very low chance that you're going to be able to execute on this site if you don't have control of Cocktail, if you don't have control of that bar area up above. Of course, you don't have to do that as an attacking team, but we expect CNE to need to do that if they want to have any shot at actually getting that diffuser down. We occasionally see teams try to rush in through the snow door, get a quick plant down right inside of reading, but that can only be so consistent, especially, as we said, if Revan are maintaining those holes above in Cocktail. Now, the great part about that for Revan is that historically, CNE have been one of these teams that have struggled with that very thing, with that slow, methodical clear, with doing it efficiently. Because yes, while they can take that control, they are more than capable of doing it. Doing it quickly is something even the best teams in the world struggle with. And when it comes down to actually making that transition to the execute, time can get really low, back against the wall, and it can get a little stressful. That's when mistakes are made. That's when easy kills are found by the defense. So Revan hoping to do that without putting too much pressure, too much utility on the top floor right now. Only a little bit in the way of manpower, not overcommitting to that top floor setup. Waiting to see what CNE are going to do.
You can see CNE, they do have some top control, top red with Gridlock track stingers on the red stairs as well, and an interesting swap up in terms of playstyle on the side of CNE. On the defensive side, it was Gladius that was really the forefront of applying pressure to Revan, yet on the attacking side, he's holding more flanks. Lots of damage being done inside of Piano, as there is still a defender lurking topside inside of the White Stairs hallway for the time being. He'll back off towards the top of the planks, and we'll look to hold out from deeper towards Cocktail. It's quick, doing some damage and finding the head of Situff, as everyone else for CNE will flood in through the bar, trying to play a trade, and successful in doing so for one. Physics has the coverage, as Flacco got down the timely headshot hit for the former coach, and that will maintain man advantage, and Draw tries to continue to press upon White Stairs, but he's picked up by Gladius, who continues to have, as Draw said, the biggest life gain.
Well, Abinai and Marteau, two that are remaining here, and maybe they could pull something off with that C4. You see Marteau with a kill. Flacco low HP, and 40 seconds. Still, CNE have some work to do here. This is not over yet. But with the time and the control they have of this top floor, they should be able to get this done without much of an issue. They just have to keep this one tight, got to keep the coverage tidy, and eventually execute on this site in the next 20 seconds. Coffin looks like he's going to be tasked with maintaining this angle up above. Gladius diffuser in hand. He'll rotate down below and go into the site. Banshee reveals his position. He'll step in front and go for the defuse. Coverage, though, where is it? For CNE, nowhere to be found. Eventually the kill is there, but Marteau, he flanks up above. 2 seconds, 1 second out of time for Flacco. Revan with another comeback win, as Cinta Negra just cannot finish these rounds.
I'm pretty sure it was Marteau on the Mozzie there at the end. Perfect timing, perfect ability to weave his way through the setup. That was being held from CNE topside. There was a lot of concern, like you said, about covering everywhere except for the plant. Abinai is allowed to just rush, allowed to walk straight through reading at the plant attempt. And then the flank from Marteau, top white, in a 1v1, 7 seconds on the clock, and he opts to hide, not take the engagement. Roni up against the F90 would have been a perilous situation and a gunfight that would have been stacked against him, and yet plays the patience incredibly well there. Yeah, Gladius is able to attempt the plant, but Abinai is afforded the opportunity to go sprinting on a jaunt through reading, ends up sitting on top of the diffuser when he dies. It was a close one for CNE. Lots of pressure applied on the top floor, and playing number situations and trades very well on the flood to Cocktail. The transition to the site execute itself, problematic to say the least, and Revan again able to pull back a man disadvantage around that looks like it's going the wrong direction, able to bring it back into the win column. Keep the deficit now at just 1. A Boss G spawn peak coming out from Quick as well. They want to level the round count entirely, but Quick, he goes 0 for 1 on the Boss G so far.
I mean, that would have been nuts if he pulled that one off, don't get me wrong, but yeah, maybe not the best decision if he wants to stay alive here. Draw looking to do the same thing. I mean, going back to that last round for a moment, we said that would be a likely problem for Cinta Negra, and we said that Revan had picked that site for that very reason. That's the very thing that came to fruition. Even though they had the man advantage, even though they had the top floor control with 45 seconds left, we still saw a pretty significant blunder there for Cinta Negra as they were unable to make that execute happen. Here is where they need to remedy that, and getting the kill onto Draw is a fantastic start. We saw the Valkyrie over-aggressing, over-peaking, and now he's dead. That's not too much of a surprise. We do see Quick still alive, though, and that is impressive given his earlier positioning on this map. But he seems to have backed off as CNE have worked their way into the map just about. And Revan, as they reposition, they'll start to feel this pressure from this CNE attack build. CNE, though, will have to be aware of some aggression once again coming out from this defense. It's Lambe who steps up and gets the kill onto Coffin. It is a 4v4 once again.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful when I laugh. I think it's very ironic that Draw called out Gladius for having a wonderful game, as Marto will now collect with the double kill on the Nitro. Everyone being rejected entry to the building. Siduf down on the floor leaves Gladius alone. He's going to have to continue to having a magnificent game to bring this round back in their favor. Abinai cleans up onto Siduf, and Gladius is going to hit the roof. I guess I'll finish my thought here, as Gladius is probably going to sit and use some time for the rest of the team to recollect their thoughts. It is very funny that Draw called out Gladius for the performance he's having, and then has been able to catch Draw, I think in 3 of the last 4 rounds since he said it. So Draw from the grave, the only one who has been deceased for Revan, will tempt Gladius to drop, and he will do so, following the commands of Draw, drops and collects Abinai, playing inside of Piano. The diffuser recoverable as well with 40 seconds. Still some health on the side of Gladius as well, as he will press on, but Lambe will stop the attempt in its tracks. And Draw, while he may not have been able to make impact from the gameplay in the server, was at least able to finally see Gladius perish.
Look at that. Every time.
Look at him.
Every time. That's what they're saying. I mean, at least we can read the lips a little bit. There were definitely some other words in there, but maybe we won't repeat. But
yeah,
a very good amount of energy there from Revan, and obviously you saw why. A double kill for Marteau with the Nitro Cell. They then take the advantage back, and then, well, it's over. A little stuff, little trash talk there from Draw to close out the round before Gladius, as you said, Flynn, did eventually perish. So these rounds, almost across the board, have not started out well for Revan.
16 kills.
They are losing opening kills. Gladius is raking them up. But still, Revan are keeping this close. Now they've tied it up because somehow the 16 the Gladius have dropped is not quite enough to compensate for whatever is happening on the rest of that team.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off there. It's just, we had a bug where we couldn't expand the HUD, and it seems like we're still not expanding the HUD, so I haven't seen the kill counter in a long time. And 16 caught me off guard, I'll be honest. Gladius. Whew. Incredible performance for himself, but like you said, hasn't really been translating as of yet. Abinai now picking up the mantle of the Boss G and taking aim out towards the parking spawn, but unfortunately, and also not connect with the Boss G. Seen it do incredible amounts of damage early round, much like we saw from CNE in their opening minute defensive escapades. This time around for Revan, not having as much success. Now getting droned out, Draw will continue to take aim, is again maybe looking to try and find Gladius, level the score a little bit earlier on, but nonetheless, play the smarter idea. Rotate back down red stairs, join the rest of the team on the horizontal hold, and for now, Revan's sitting pretty on the bakery defense.
Yeah, Revan doing just fine. Draw, I mean, look at his camera. Readjusting the sleeve, sitting comfortable, very still. Didn't even need his hand on his keyboard for that one. Just waiting for Cinta Negra to make their move. Time has been a problem for CNE before, despite early round success. How do you think it's going to go when they don't have early round success? Don't even want to think about that. Coffin is gone already. Of course, the only saving grace being we did see a little bit of soft destruction with that boogie drone already. Plus, you still have the skeleton key of the buck in play, but that is going to hurt. 4 guns against 5 with a minute 15 to go. And even though that is a lot of time in Siege, it is not a lot of time for Cinta Negra. They are going to need to speed things up, and if they don't, this half could be over before they know it. The comeback's got to start soon. It is tied up, but it doesn't feel like it the way these last couple of defenses for Revan have been going. Lambe, look at this aggression. Look at the double swing now for draw. They know there's someone outside the door. They're going to swing and get the kill. No support for Gladius. Easy cleanup for Revan.
Yeah, this map might as well be called the battle over front door and VIP. Flacco will survive the impact thrown at his feet. He will drop, draw, and start to assess some control over towards the coat check. But quick! Yeah, he's free to swing instead of freezer as well, matching the same level of aggression we saw from CNE early in this map. Now it's Revan's turn to take aim and swing, and they are also connecting. Flacco on 3 HP, there's 17 seconds left in a 1v4. Once again, it's draw, but at least after he is, or before he has perished, he's gotten a couple picks to really set the tone on this round, and yeah, Flacco is going to dance around topside, try and look for a couple free picks to pad the stats, and he'll find one onto Quick. As another Nitro Cell went soaring, it missed the target. Flacco will run out of time, and all of a sudden, not the way they would have imagined, but it is 3 consecutive rounds for Revan. They take the lead on Cafe.
And again, when you're playing a 7, things can end in such a heartbeat sometimes. I mean, it so quickly can just slip away from you. And for Cinta Negra, look at the change in the demeanor. I mean, it was all smiles just 2-3 rounds ago. Now they are feeling very differently about how this one has been going. It just has not looked the same, not even close, since they switched to the attacking half. Now, while we knew this would be the case, Flynn, I think we expected a little bit more. We're just not seeing enough for Cinta Negra to give us any sign that this second half is going to be successful, let alone competitive. They got their 4 rounds on defense, and we've yet to see them land a winning blow on the attacking side. Attack pause is maybe going to help them out here as they try to strategize, regroup, figure something out, but how much can really be done there? It seems that they are getting picked apart by this Revan defense left and right.
I'm not sure if, I think it was Quick. Okay, we went from attack that was called by CNE into attack, so we're going to be here for a minute looking at face cams, but yeah, I'm not sure if Quick was just yelling or if he was legitimately singing during a attack pause. It was called by the other team, so it's not the end of the world to use that time. I think we saw the Fabian clip on Twitter when their PSG Talon's opponents called attack. Fabian just kind of checked in with the rest of the team and said, hey, how was your day? What'd you eat for breakfast? And there's an opportunity to kind of cool the comms when the opposing team calls attack to try and regain some focus. If he is singing, hats off to him. I think this has been an incredible run here for Revan. Like you said, the transition of sides for Revan, all the momentum is in their favor at the moment, and it seems to be that they are replicating a lot of what we saw from CNE early round and early doors in terms of rejecting entry to the map. We saw it 2 rounds ago inside of Piano. That just became a bloodbath of CNE corpses that laid at rest, and that time there as well, the battle over front door and really the lack of progression towards the bottom floor for CNE on that attack. You can have the top 2 floors all you want. If you can't convert to a site execute, then what is it all for? Everybody on Revan getting leaned out a little bit, getting a little more relaxed, trying to just wait out the pause here. Quick as well, having some laughs, and I think right now for Revan, like I said, the momentum is in their favor. This is a much more typical performance of what we would want to see out of Revan on this defensive side, playing the aggression, denying a lot of entry, and of course, getting busy in all chat.
And nothing like a Revan game where they're typing in the chat. It wouldn't be a Revan game without a little bit of that, without the smiles, without the antics. And as much as we've said about this Revan team not looking like themselves, they certainly seem to be acting like themselves. Laid back, comfortable, joking around, typing in the chat. I love that they haven't let this get to them. And I think that's a really healthy mentality when you look at the playoffs, when you look at the standings. Sure, they haven't had the stage they wanted to have so far. They're not competing for the top 2 spots at the moment. But once you come to realize that, and once you are okay with that, Revan are probably pretty comfortable in the fact that they're not going to miss out on the playoffs. They're not going to miss that 3rd or 4th spot. Seems impossible just by the team that they are and by the team they're competing with right now. So if they've embraced that, which it seems like they have, you can't really go wrong. You got to grind through this extraordinarily long group stage. But once you do that, you're in the playoffs. You're fighting alongside everybody else, a couple of best of ones, and then moves on to best of threes. And you're in the hunt. You still have a chance at making the major. So I think overall, yes, we've talked a lot about Revan going through a rough patch right now, but you see how much fun they're having. You see the success they're having right now, and just a good sign for this team. I think it's a really healthy mentality to have.
100%. Honestly, I don't know how you wouldn't be smiling more if you have a teammate like Abinai. His smile, every time I see it on the face cam, it makes me smile. I see his laugh and it makes me laugh. I think right now for a Revan team that, like you said, was going through it for a minute there, was going through some difficult games where they had some leads and there were opportunities, and it's very easy to get caught up in the what ifs of, oh, if we had just made that play or if we made that call, would we have X amount of points in the standings? Would the record be different? You know, there's a lot of what ifs you can look back on, but that's not going to help you moving into the future. Being able to stay present and stay grounded in the moment for Revan and turn this around in a situation that did look pretty dire and still does. If you look at the standings before the conclusion of this game, they're still a ways off of second place, a ways off of first place, as Six Karma have started to really put some distance between them and Revan, and Cruelty have also said that they just intend to go flawless, and it does seem like they might do that to wrap up the group stage. So Revan, you just got to focus in on what is attainable. Let the past be the past and focus up on what is presently possible. And what's presently possible for them is turning a 4-2 deficit at the half into a 5-4 lead, and then whenever this tech pause decides to resolve itself, they might be able to turn this into a regulation win, get back in the win column. I don't imagine Six Karma will be dropping any points today, but at the very least, just try and cement your position in that 3rd spot. Like you said, Jonah, this has been a trying early group stage, but there's still all the opportunity in the world for Revan to put some wins on the board and carry some momentum into the playoffs. And once you get into those games, those are the ones that matter. The group stage is all for seeding, and then it's the playoff games that will send you to a major. For Revan, the focus definitely has to be on the playoffs and just shaping up for those games that mean the most.
We will hopefully be getting back into this one in just a few minutes, as it does look like our players, I mean, they've been settled in for a minute, as we've discussed, but Revan, having been down in the disadvantage this entire time, they now take the lead for the first time, so that's why they're feeling particularly good about the way things have been going. I mean, a good look at the Revan team house. You see either the player on the camera in front or all the players behind them. Good to be in that kind of environment, collaborative space, and in this case, very goofy space. Goofy space for Revan. Ab and I, we've obviously talked about the energy, the charisma, but seeing him as a leader as well. It's always good to see this team in that good place. But just lounging, just waiting. We've been told that they're trying to fix a player cam or something like that. I believe on the Revan side, at least that's who we were missing earlier. So we'll bring you updates as we have them. For now, it is just a waiting game. It looks like some images on the screens are moving, though. People might be... No, Coffins. He's just going to down that water. He was just chilling. Is that Lightning McQueen chilling on the wall?
It is.
Ka-chow.
I think Quick's got a hammer in his hand. At least it looks like an inflatable toy hammer, but he definitely looks like a hammer that he's definitely playing with in the meantime. He's waiting with the rest of the team to get things back underway, and everyone seems to be settling in for the moment, just kind of waiting for the time that they can spring back into action. And I'll be honest, this is kind of unfortunate for Revan as well. Like I talked about with having the momentum, the ability to turn that around and carry it off into the sunset and walk away with 3 points, most likely would have been wanted. Yeah.
So the difference between Coffin and physics backgrounds are amazing. Physics had like 8 certificates. They all looked like diplomas. You've got the most intelligent man on the planet, and then Lightning McQueen.
Lightning McQueen,
and
baby.
then Lightning McQueen, all on the same team. You got a polar opposites. I think we're just cycling through camps, so hopefully we'll circle back around here. I'm just gonna wait for it. But it was. Okay, we got drawn out. Eventually, we'll get back to CNE. It was physics. I mean, of course, it's physics. Who's got all the degrees? Let's wait for it. We got Flacco. Well, let's count them. Get ready to count them. Okay, one more. Here it is. Wait for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7, and then some medals on the top. 7 certificates / diplomas. What's going on? And then, wait for it. Wait for it. Come on. There it is. Lightning McQueen, 19. Ka-chow. Is that the Piston Cup? Dude, is the Piston Cup on the wall. I'm loving that. I'm loving that. Diplomas, Piston Cup. Take your pick, honestly. I mean, I'd go Piston Cup. I wish he did have the real thing, though, like a physical model of the Piston Cup. But I'll take it. I'll take the paper cutout on the wall. Thoughts?
I think the real prize is the Lightning McQueen bed. He did have like a checker.
I didn't even notice that. What?
Headboard. But no, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have the Lightning McQueen bed. But I think that's what you want out of
That's
everything.
what you really want. That's what you really
can put a poster of Lightning McQueen on the wall, and he did have like a checkered flag headboard on his bed.
Okay.
But he doesn't have like the actual plastic car bed. I think that's the holy grail. That's your trinity. That's your prize.
I'm fully
right
here
there
for it, dude. I mean, dude, Doc Hudson in Cars, inspirational figure. Inspirational figure. Toe Mater, dude, one of the boys.
Well, it was a lengthy one, but we're back. Hope you enjoyed the Jonah and Flynn nothingness podcast. We're back underway. Round number 10. It is Revan up 5-4 still, like we said, winning 3 consecutive after the side swap to get back underway. And we're going to see another reading and dining defense with more aggression early round from draw on a Valkyrie. Seems like we are seeing glimpses of the past replicate themselves in the future. And now Quick as well, going for some aggression down the white stairs. We are trying to reject every possible entry inside of Revan for CNE getting inside of the building. And Abonai's taking a hefty amount of damage over towards mining and training in the process. For the time being, everyone stands static, everyone is alive, and there's an amassing of bodies for CNE on the roof for the time being as they look to drop for a bar across take from Piano. And we'll see if they catch Lambe on a drone.
Little rat spot here for Lambe. Look at all the blue outlines pouring in above. If CNE do not identify this, oh, they're in a world of hurt. And then coming off of such a long pause like that, I don't know if you're going to recover the mental from here on out. There it is. Sit tough, not looking. Lambe, does he want one more? Oh, he does. Can he get it is the question. Yes! A double kill for him. Physics will get one. But at what cost here? Lambe, oh, come on, dude. That was not the right call, and that has now allowed CNE to take this advantage back. So disaster strikes for the Cinta Negra attack. But Draw and Abonai are now the only 2 defenders left standing, as maybe we saw Revan get a little too comfortable. Get a little bit too crazy with it. A simultaneous swing from Cigar and from Piano. And after all the pressure worked, finally, CNE were able to stop it. Draw, though, almost timed that well. Looking towards that mining hall just as the pressure began to work its way around for CNE, but the Grim Bees will identify his position, and he will need to drop back all the way. But CNE gearing up for what appears to be a back-sided take, a dining take. With 45 seconds left, feels like a risky approach when you have all this control, but they're setting up for it. Looks like they're going to try to make it happen.
Well, I think the shades of the previous time they had this exact situation are coming to mind, as everyone's wrapping around now through dining, or through mining and towards dining. It was a 3v2 advantage for CNE, trying to get a plant down inside of Reading the last time Revan defended this bomb site. They got flanked upon. They don't feel comfortable running that strategy back, so instead they drop out the Bs, but now the hold from inside of Reading, now for Draw, just needs to win one there onto Flacco, as now they'll have the man advantage if a plant is attempted by Physics, and he pushes all the way in and gets dropped to the floor. Draw continues to rampage, and Abinai holds out from inside of Laundry, and it's yet again another 2v3 victory for Revan on this defensive bomb site. They send themselves to match point.
I mean, they're just playing so comfortable and so confident right now. A completely different team than what we just saw from them when they were on the attack. Now they're on defense. I mean, this thing is as over as it's ever been for CNE. They started off that round in horrible shape. Revan with such an early lead. As I said, Revan got too comfortable and gave it up. But if they're still allowed to win that round after the shenanigans, tomfoolery, malarkey, the big three, of course, after all of that they were pulling off, then they go in at a disadvantage, a 3v2. If they're still winning that round, it's just not okay for Cinta Negra. I mean, that is a round you have to win. You have so much time. You have an advantage. You can approach from either side of the site because you have complete top floor control. Of course, yeah, shout out Revan. It's a good win in that 2v3. It takes good individual talent to do that. But CNE cannot be losing those engagements. This is what we talked about, Flynn, and I think we're seeing CNE on full display again. A team that has shown us such high highs. That defensive half, a perfect example, and then such low lows. Just like we saw in that last round. And unless we see a complete turnaround in the next two rounds, which seems impossible at this point, they will once again prove that they still cannot beat another team here in LATAM.
Well, Revan also on the horizon of doing what was done to them, courtesy of TSG, is Abinai again. I don't know how he's losing so much health in the first 20 seconds, but he is making it a pattern. As I was saying, Revan had the 4-2 lead at the side swap against TSG and squandered it to an 8-6 loss. Now for CNE, they also had the 4-2 lead at the side swap. They've lost 4 rounds consecutively. They might not even, as you say, Jonah, be able to run this back into overtime and collect the 2 points that were on offer as soon as Revan secured their 6th round, meaning that the full 3 for CNE are out of range. And we talked about teams needing to grab as many points as possible heading into this slugfest that will be the fight for the bottom 2 playoff spots out of the bottom 4 teams. For the time being, Revan have done that. They've secured themselves at least 1 point, and now it's up to CNE to battle back and try and force a point of their own and send us into extra innings. And now for Lambe, once again, pressure topside, but he's got Abinai for some help as we continue to hold the top floor with extreme aggression for Revan, trying to deny all entries. We've got double drops onto the red stairs for CNE. They will evade the top hold, instead start descending the red stairs directly towards the objective.
Phone calls go out. The position of Revan revealed. Abinai will drop away and reposition. C4 goes up. Could be nice. Just a bit early. As you could see, the players had not worked their way in from the red stairs yet on the Cinta Negra side. No one dropping the new Balk hatch. Instead, everyone coming from the red side, and that decision saved them at least 1, if not 2, of their lives. But the pressure from Revan on this top floor has not been dealt with yet. You've got Lambe ready to swing, and a pre-fire onto Physics will get 1. Good kill there from Coffin, preventing Lambe from doing any additional damage. But once again, good start, and look at the time. 45 seconds. Cinta Negra just got into the building now, and they had to make a transition like this last time with an advantage, with more time. This is not looking good from them. We need to see them pull off something very impressive, and it's got to happen now. It looks like it's going to be coming from that mining side this time instead of Reading.
Yeah, they're worried about clearing out Reading, but it's not the objective. And Draw, he'll continue to waste time and waste bodies now as Coffin hits the floor. Flacco jumping into the bomb site, though, will get 1, but immediately traded from the depths of Train. Marto claims another life. 1 down onto the floor, but Marto continues to let the Roni sing. And now it's just Sidif alone in the 1v technical 2, and he walks into the waiting arms of Marto. Gladius gets out of the server as fast as humanly possible. But at the end of the day, his heroics weren't enough to carry CNE across the finish line. It's Revan wrapping things up 7-4.
And again, while we saw maybe that initial burst of speed there from Cinta Negra in the start, it was the endurance battle and eventually lapped by Revan in the end. Just sticking with the cars theme, just sticking with that theme a little bit longer as we wrap this one up. We'll bring Korvac back in here, see if he has any cars references in that large cap of his to add to the mix. Korvac, cars reference.
Ka-chow?
That's the one.
I'll be honest, I have not seen any of them, so I'm grasping at straws. I think Ka-chow comes from that universe, but it was a Ka-chow for Revan. Let's be honest. Two things. This is my two views on this. One, I feel like we should not be talking about a situation where Revan has to demonstrate good elasticity to beat Cinta Negra on Cafe, but we are also in a situation here, Flynn, where we have to say, hey, good job, Revan, for having the elasticity to beat Cinta Negra on Cafe.
Listen, again, like we touched on in the pregame, like we touched on during the game, have things gone according to plan for Revan so far in Stage 2? No, we can all universally agree on that this has not been where they wanted to be. They even said so themselves a week ago after the game against TSG. So I think for Revan, it's about the small victories. It's about maintaining that mental focus. And like I talked about during the tech pause as well, just focus on what is possible in front of you. And that's maximizing the points that you can garner in the standings to secure yourself a spot in the playoffs. And focus on those games that will be the difference maker. The group stage is just for seeding. The playoffs are what send you to the major. And like I said, maximize what's possible. Revan have done that today. It got dicey, don't get me wrong. A 4-2 drop at the half isn't great. But winning the next 5 is also pretty nice to walk away 7-4.
And you guys mentioned it multiple times. As a team, they looked very positive here in this game, right? There was a lot of smiling and laughing. Somebody, I think you said, might have even been singing. I think it was Quick who you said might have even been singing. Like, they looked on camera, at least from what we can glean, a much more positive, environment, a much more positive team than what we have seen them be. I mean, Jonah, all in all, you would say this was a good night for Revan?
I would. I really would. And I think I kind of myself turned a corner. I think Revan have turned a corner, but I think my outlook on this team almost turned a corner in a way in the middle of that match, kind of saying that Revan have embraced the kind of moment that they're in. They're on a bit of a slide, right? They're taking a bit of a turn, drifting, so to speak. But when you are drifting on a hold on, Flynn. When you're drifting, right, unknown surface, right? If you really lean into the turn, right? If you really steer the other, I don't know, really stretching there for that Cars moment where he's just turning on the dirt and he turns the other way and he drifts around it. The point is this. Revan have embraced this moment. They understand that maybe top 2 is not in the cards for them.
Yeah.
Not in the cards for them. And that's fine. That I'm on a roll, baby. It really is fine because they know that the 3rd and 4th spot, it's no contest. They've got it on lock. And maybe on the last day, we are going to see them get enough points to compete with the likes of 6K. But right now, that 3rd place spot is all they care about. Their focus will remain on playoffs, and they can keep on goofing off, having a good time, and picking up some points along the way.
Yeah, they definitely seem like they're feeling a lot more comfortable, maybe taking a little bit of the pressure off of themselves. This constant desire, I think, to be the heel of LATAM North maybe alleviated slightly for them. But as we said, a good night for Revan here as they take the victory over Cinta Negra Esports. Will we see an upset in our next match, though? Lycus Empire goes up against the unstoppable juggernaut that is Cruelty. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back, viewers, here to LATAM League Playday 7. Just making sure you're paying attention out there. I'm Cormac, alongside me here, Flynn and Jonah, as we get ready for our next match. Team Cruelty versus Lycus Empire. And, you know, Jonah, I would like to say that this is going to be Lycus Empire's day. I'd love to say that Lycus Empire is going to come back and give a big win.
You said that.
Yeah, it's not going to be their day. I mean, Team Cruelty, they're unstoppable. I think they have made, and you can agree or disagree, I think they have made a convincing case for being the strongest team in LATAM for yet another stage. They just seem untouchable.
At the top of the table here in the north, so I'm not going to disagree. Better than all the other teams in the south, at least compared to the other teams. They have 18 points. The nearest team in the north or the south has 15. Now, of course, that's Alpha Team in the south, and you can't technically compare the two teams since they're not going to play each other until like 2 rounds into the playoff bracket. But the point remains the same. This is the best team in LATAM. They went to the Manchester Major, and I'd bet they're going to Montreal. They've just looked that good. They're undefeated. They haven't even gone to overtime yet. They're 6-0-0-0. It's a fantastic performance so far from them, and there's no reason that any opponent should give them trouble, let alone a team that is struggling to find their footing in their own right.
You know, as just a bit of a meta question here, Flynn, because I feel like you have the experience to speak to it. Is there a point in time where you're sitting in a team like this, you're doing really well, where you start thinking about the playoffs as opposed to kind of your remaining play days? Because as Jonah said, there's not really anybody who should be able to lay much of a finger on these guys.
Well, I mean, again, the playoffs are what matter. The playoffs are what are going to send you to the major. So if you're Cruelty right now, with the number of points, they've already clinched mathematically a playoff spot. Yes. Obviously, they would like the 1 seed so that they can guarantee they're playing the fewest number of games possible and have the best matchups according to seeding possible. So, could you see Cruelty, you know, maybe starting to keep maps more perma-banned and try to play more default maps like a clubhouse? Possibly. Could you just play defaults instead of going into the strat book? Potentially. I mean, it leaves you at risk for dropping points, but when they do have the lead they have, you know, the world is their oyster. They can kind of pick and choose what they want to do with how much they want to reveal, how much they want to put on tape. As well, 10 games is great for a team like Revan, who needs to have a slow start and then come back. Kind of terrible for a team like Cruelty, who have shown out of the gate that they're very strong, and they don't want to reveal what they have hidden in the book for later on in playoffs.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to. I'm glad you brought that up. At what point in time do you kind of have to be a little bit kind of, you know, sleight of hand about what your maps are and what have you? Don't want to give too much away. But their opponents, well, it's cruise control for Team Cruelty. Cannot be said here for Lycus Empire, Jonah. They are on a steep and difficult climb, but they are still in the hunt for the 4th place spot.
And Lycus is a team that, you know, we've talked a lot about since the start of the stage. Is a team that cannot fall short of expectations because there are none, right? This is a team that did not perform at all in stage 1, and at this point are just still looking to get some reps under their belt from an organizational perspective, right? Lycus, seeing them in LATAM for the first time, but also from a player perspective, a team perspective. All of these players still trying to get the reps, still trying to feel out what it's like to compete at the highest level in this region. And as we've talked about before, historically, this is a team that has come up short. They've got 1 win to their name right now, 4 losses, and overtime loss as well. So it's like they've had glimmers of hope, but not more than that. They had 1 like jaw-dropping win. We were like, wait a second, do we need to pay attention to this team? Is this the new team now? Week 1's gone, week 2 they're here to play. Yeah, that hasn't really come to fruition since that point. They still haven't gotten a win since then, and it still looked like a team that is improving, is working on things, but is not at the level they need to be.
Well, with our conversation about kind of hiding maps or being more cautious about maps in mind here for Team Cruelty, Flynn, it looks like some of the old stalwarts are gone, but Border, the pick at the end of the day.
And I mean, I think Cruelty kind of played that one perfectly. They had the choice between Club and Border. You win no matter which one you pick. You're playing gunfights, or you're just going to try and beat them via team deathmatch.
Well, it's a fast-paced map. Hopefully not a fast-paced loss for Lycus Empire. I'll turn it over to 2 fast-paced casters. Ka-chow? Have fun, guys.
Wow. Great way to sign off there, Cormac. I was thinking we change it up. We had the Cars references last time. Maybe we go I don't know. I'm trying to think of another quintessential movie of that generation. Maybe Kung Fu Panda, maybe The Incredibles. I mean, maybe we'll just keep the viewers on your toes. We'll start throwing references out there, and maybe you just gotta see if you pick up on them. Bonus points if you can throw it in chat. Even more bonus points if you DM me on Twitter at JaysWills. I don't know. Maybe I've got a little code for you. Maybe. Listen, man, gotta farm the Twitter follow somehow, man. Listen. You know how it is. It's tough out there. It's not easy. Lycus Empire, Team Cruelty. I mean, this is a fight that is as one-sided as they come. You've got the team at the top of the table, not only in the north, but in both regions, against the team at the bottom of the table here in the north. And when looking at south standings, only slightly better than the bottom team in the south in Malvinas Gaming. So we focus here, of course, on the north and what Lycus Empire has been able to do thus far, Flynn. And aside from a 7-1 victory against TSG on play day number 3, they have not shown us that they are capable at winning these games against these other opponents.
No, besides that game against TSG that we keep bringing up, because it was a nice 7-1 win, the other bright spot is, of course, forcing the comeback on Chalet against Revan and pulling out a point in overtime. And like I said during the conversation about what Cruelty might be doing to round out the group stage, playing defaults and playing TDM maps and not really revealing too much of your book and too many of your maps that you want to play in playoffs, it leaves you vulnerable to dropping rounds, and it leaves you vulnerable to teams who can shoot back. And I think for Lycus Empire, especially Aphex, but a lot of this roster has demonstrated that they can win some gunfights, and that maybe strategic depth is one of their shortcomings as compared to their firepower. So it's still going to be a battle for Cruelty. It's not going to be a walk in the park, and I think for Lycus Empire, we talked about it with Revan, maximizing the points available to you. They did it against Revan Lycus Empire, so I think for them as well, focusing on maximizing the points in front of you and trying to claim that 4th spot. If Revan's going to turn up like they did today for the rest of the group stage, then yeah, that 3 spot, it's mathematically out of reach for the rest of the teams, but that 4 spot's still wide open between 3 teams, 2 of them qualifiers, and one of them has been playing below expectations, but also has a knack for not being able to close out victories. I mean, it could go any way, and if you're Lycus, if you're able to claim that you've taken overtime lost points, but still points in the standings against teams like Revan and Cruelty, and potentially 6 Karma, then you're in a good spot to be able to sneak on in and play for a chance to go to the major and at least extend your season longer than the 10 group stage games.
Well, what's important here for Lycus Empire is that they try to find that secret ingredient to that secret ingredient soup. They have to find out what works for this team. Maybe there's something that just the one piece to the puzzle that they just haven't landed yet. Realistically, it's a lot more than that, right? We need to see a bigger transformation than just one thing here or there. Especially against a team like Cruelty, and especially on a map like Border. This is a map that's going to punish you for not winning those gunfights from the start of the round to the very end. And at the beginning of round number 1, that story is as clear as ever, as it is Pyrox and Ivan, who go back-to-back on Aphex and Faxi to get things started for Cruelty on the right foot. This is so tough to attack as individuals, especially when Cruelty are winning these gunfights like this, and now they are 3 for 3 in these opening duels. Fatal, oh, he's itching to go 4 for 4.
Well, Owen inside a break room, being pressed upon by multiple defenders, but instead will walk up the long hallway and pick up on a Matumbo. So for Cruelty, the name of the game here is discipline and not overextending, to potentially bringing this round back into a possible situation for Lycus, trying to close out on the 5v2 advantage that you had. Down to the 4v2, but the ace symbol will get muted out onto the wall. Lots of damage done in return to Fatal, but it leaves Owen alone. His unfixed will perish, and now it is just this AK-12 inside of the break room door, doing some chip damage to the dock, but not finding a headshot, and Pyrox will collect for 2 to secure round number 1 for Cruelty.
Yeah, this is how this match is going to feel the entire way, unless we see something pretty substantial change for Lycus. And I know we're only 1 round in, but as we've said, the discrepancy between these 2 teams in the standings and in their past performances is severe. It's the 1st place team versus the 6th place team. And that first round is an indication of why, in a one-sided map such as this, or a one-sided matchup such as this, a map like Border is just so dangerous to go to. Yes, we talk about a map like this having that explosive power. Occasionally we mention maybe a team could turn the tables on their opponent by going to a map they don't expect and by getting a little crazy with it. The problem with Border is it is a map that is so frag heavy, so gunfight heavy, that you need to be in tip-top shape in your mechanics and just believe and, in fact, prove that not only are you capable at understanding how to approach this map, but that you can just win every single gunfight that you take. And Cruelty, they forced the gunfights early. They took 3 separate 1v1 engagements back to back to back, coming out on top in every single one, giving them a win right off the bat. That needs to change for Lycus as soon as possible. We gotta see them start off this round with a kill, or at the very least, get deeper in the round, make more progress before losing that first fight. No way! What? What? What?
Oof. Pyrox even hitting them with it in all chat. And I mean, yeah, opening engagements. You definitely want them on maybe some more level playing ground than accidentally tapping front door. But hey, Pyrox, the intuition and the experience to know that someone's going to be sprinting outside a front door at some point. Might as well tap fire with an MPX head height and see what you can get. It's a good opener once again for Cruelty, but like I said, the discipline is what I'm looking for out of Cruelty. As this is Ronnie being slowed down by a Zoto canister outside of break room, and being aggressed upon towards the side of Armory. Unfixed, though, will vault on in through radio window and pick up Ivan. So nobody overextending themselves, but a good response here from Lycus. But as I say that, Pyrox heads topside. He's already got 2 on the round, 2 headshots that MPX, and he's looking for even more. Nearly collects on the flick to the wall, but Unfixed will get himself 2 on the round to level the man count.
What is going on here? That was an insane shot from Pyrox. I'm sorry. But that was the most ridiculous thing we've seen so far this stage, and we've seen some pretty wild stuff. Good kill there for Fatal. Advantage now taken again by Cruelty. Oh, that's good. Could have blown that up sooner and he would have had the kill. Instead, waited a couple seconds too long, and Lycus stay alive for now. Good damage there for Owen. Even better for Unfixed. A triple kill on the round. Can he get all 5? Fatal and Dante, both on the site, have so much information. Next, C4 into the Zoto canister. Waiting for it. That was interesting. Now just waiting for the push for Lycus. 40 seconds is a lot of time. So you could see Unfixed and Owen slow things down a little bit, throw a drone into play if they've got one. C4 will miss. I think if he detonated it the moment he threw it, if it wasn't hit by the freeze, there was a chance he got a kill there, but they're 0 for 2 on C4s. Unfixed looking the wrong way. Fatal, Dante, good night. Cruelty, take round 2.
Good response there in the closing moments of the round from Cruelty to be able to play a crossfire on hatch drop, knowing that they had still bathroom hatch control, knowing that that workshop hatch was going to have to be the focal point for a lot of what was remaining on the round for Lycus after collecting the diffuser, taking some chip damage and some other engagements, but credit Unfixed. Really powerful round there on the line with a V308 against the world topside, and seemingly had saved his teammate outside of the armory wall as Pyrox was closing in, looking to amass a massive kill total on the round, and he had to get stopped short and Unfixed. Brought his team within inches of securing the round, but at the end of the day, it's Cruelty who play the cross well, like I said, being able to play the patience and not overextend, being able to secure 2 rounds consecutively. So that's bathroom done. We now move over to ventilation and workshop to see if Cruelty can stack 3 in a row, have the clean sweep, and again, Jonah, I'm going to require assistance in translating if we are going to translate.
Oh god, on the spot.
Yep.
Well, you know, it's good morning. How? Despertar, I don't know what that is. Something about TeamSpeak, though. Clearly, I think, here's what I'm gonna guess. How great it is to hear the teams speaking on TeamSpeak, because on the LATAM broadcast in Spanish, they are playing the team comms live. in some rounds. Every once in a while, you'll see the pop-up on the top left, that little TeamSpeak icon. We can't hear it. It wouldn't do much for us because they're speaking entirely in Spanish. In Six Karma's case, a little bit of Portuguese, and in Revan's case, mostly English, I would assume. But when that TeamSpeak icon is up, the Spanish broadcast is hearing them. We are not. So that was paying a compliment, I believe, to that and how nice it was to be hearing the team. And I would agree. I think hearing those teams is really nice. Obviously, we don't really want to do that because we wouldn't be able to understand what they're saying. Anyway, there it is, top left. That means someone is getting a listen in, but we, of course, wouldn't be able to understand it anyway. Maybe you hear a word or two, you'd understand, like, hey, armory. Maybe you'd understand that. But that's about all we got. See, look at that, bottom right, parking. That's still parking, baby. At least here on border. So we'll see how Lycus are able to respond to this, right? Maybe their comms are firing, maybe they're not, but this is the second round in a row. A fantastic shot has opened up the round for Cruelty, and Lycus are going to have a tough climb for the remainder.
Yeah, someone who used to play that exact angle in SMG-11 looking towards the window. It's a fun one. Pyrox and Dante also add into the fray. As now it is just Ronnie and Unfixed left alive. Make that just Ronnie. Left alone to try and fend off a flawless round. And he will not do so. The Boss G connecting much better in game number 2 of the North as compared to what we saw in Cafe for our first game of LATAM North this evening. It's Cruelty, winning 3 rounds consecutively, having a clean sweep on the defensive objectives. And for right now, like we said, this is an opportunity for Cruelty to control what they put out there on film. And right now, there's not a lot to be gleaned from this thus far from Cruelty, how they play border. This is very much a team that wants to press their advantage in terms of gun skill. They're certainly catching Lycus off guard at every opportunity. And it must be said, a lot of wall bangs. And there's just not a lot you can do there if you're Lycus Empire. It is simply either intel or intuition from Cruelty. And unfortunately for Lycus, it's hard to shoot back when there's a surface in your way, obscuring your vision towards your opponent. So, Cruelty, they now stand up 3-0. We're going to go back upstairs to Armory and Archives. Again, a round in which a lot of the round was played away from the bomb site itself, much more focused toward the break room door.
With the help of the internet, I looked up Que Bello Despertar, which is what a beautiful awakening, according to Google Translate. I am guessing that we were, I think obviously a beautiful awakening. I think you could probably assume that that meant like maybe refreshing or like a nice new touch, you know, trying to convert that from Google Translate speak into actual English. We're trying here, doing my best. But maybe when another tweet comes up, we'll have another translation for you on the fly. Brought to you by Jays Wilson Flynn. Who knows? Who knows? We'll do our best. But right now, oh my goodness, Ivan is going to do his best to get absolutely dumpstered. I mean, welcome Lycus Empire into the lobby here. Finally, we see an early start from them as Ivan tried to, he tried to do a little too much, and he got demolished by Lycus, who this time were ready for it. Good to see them on their toes a little bit more here, Flynn, getting more prepared for these opening engagements, and, well, I think... Well, it looks good on them here, this advantage, this 5v4. Let's see if they can make it work.
Yeah, you can see here, this is also Dante being forced to fall back. He's being pinched upon now, and Pyrox is alone inside of CCTV. As Dante's had to fall all the way back to office, he's going to continue to peel back in towards Fountain. He's being tracked by the Deimos Death Mark, so he immediately finds safety in the mute jammer on the sandwich wall, but the triple wall will get opened up from outside on the balcony. 2 attackers descending, one from either side, but Fatal! It's the Fatal headshot, and why not 2? The MPX continues to be a weapon of destruction against Lycus Empire this evening, this time in Fatal's hands. But all the same, the result is a 2-man dropping, and now more bodies will hit the floor downstairs. Aphex, who started off the round, will meet the end of the T5 from Dante inside a bathroom down through the hatch. And unfortunately for Lycus, they get the opener, but they don't get anything to follow it up. Triple now for Fatal as he looks for the 4th, whipping out the SMG-12. It's too much recoil to handle. 417 for Unfixed will get him back into the game. And 88 HP, at least he has the diffuser to push in towards the objective. Pyrox still hasn't left CC. Now taking heapfuls of damage from the goo mine and from his backside. Matumbo swings with the M590. As I've listed about half the guns in the game, we come to a close with Cruelty up 4-0.
Oh my god. Yes, love that. About half the guns in the game there. All of them right then and there. Listen, I mean, this is the point in the map where obviously we all see it. This is not a competitive contest right now. And even if Lycus starts off with a kill, I mean, you have someone like Fatal to get a triple. You have just so much pressure being applied there by Cruelty that it's just not a fair fight right now. And now, Flynn, stick with me here. You might be thinking, oh, Lycus Empire, maybe they want to look in the mirror and just call it quits. But what I'd have to say to that is I'd have to turn to the wise words of Master Uguay and say, quit, don't quit, noodles, don't noodles, and say that it doesn't matter. You're too concerned with what was and what could be. In Lycus's case, Flynn, they just have to do. They just have to make it happen. They don't need to worry about the context. They don't need to worry about their opponents right now. Every round is another chance for a good rep against a good team. A chance to practice, showcase your skills a little bit, and just try to iron out some of the issues you've been having. They knew coming into this game that it would be a tall task, right? We all knew it. We said this would be a pretty big upset if Lycus are able to take this. We said bottom team, top team. So at this point for Lycus, it's just about seeing, all right, let's maybe try something new here. Let's maybe experiment with some mid-round adjustments. Maybe they're not sure who should be the IGL right now. I don't know what kind of transformations they're going through as a team. This is a time to try them. You are playing the best team in LATAM. The team that may end up going to the major, unless teams like Vasco, 6K, and Alpha Team have anything to say about it. So these are valuable moments, regardless of the outcome. So if that's the mindset they take here, so be it. I think that'd be fine. They're down 4 right now. A long way to go. Another chance at an attack here. We'll see if they can survive this opening engagement. They won't get damage dealt by that C4, so that's something. They won't have to deal with that piece of utility, but again, as we've said, even a one-man advantage doesn't seem to have been enough for Lycus in a couple of these moments here. So as they enter this building with about a minute undergoing in this round, can they get past Pyrox? Finally, they will. Goes 1 for 1, and it's a 4v4.
I think this is what we need to see more out of Lycus, is grouping up, because everyone for Cruelty right now is happy to play on an island and play the 1v1s, which they're going to win the majority of the time. Now, previously downed inside of the frost mat, Ronnie will revive himself, and he will clean up onto Ivan. Now, ascending the metal stairs will be Dante. Worried about the nitro cell from down below will be Ronnie. He still can't sprint out of the vicinity, but he still can walk and still can shoot back for the time being. This is Fatal now taking some damage, but here we go. Dante on the flank up. Metal levels the man count, and he'll take his 1 and be happy with it to try to group up with the rest of the team. Everybody started this round, each in their own area code, but Dante able to weather the storm from up above and collect on a Faxi wandering alone in the wilderness inside of waiting room. And once again, it's a man advantage squandered by Lycus. And again, it's Aphex and Owen to try and pull out of the 2v3. Matumbo's got a shotgun on the Echo, so no long-range ACOGs being wielded by the defense, but still lots of firepower on the defensive side. Aphex now wandering his way down the metal stairs, trying to join in on the fun that Dante has enjoyed towards this metal stairwell itself. The time starts to tick down, and we're going to need to see some action from the remaining 2 Lycus attackers. They do still have to worry about the objective itself, getting into the bomb site and getting a plant down, but Fatal will stop that in its tracks as Aphex tried to garner some customs control. Wasn't long for this world, and leaves Owen alone in the 1v3. No idea where Fatal had turned back to, and it was inside of Workshop. Fatal with another headshot, having to run this game and make it 5-0 for Cruelty.
Another round where we did see a moment where Lycus held the advantage, and it just wasn't enough. As we've said, Cruelty seems like they're playing very loose, very comfortable, very confident on this map. When faced with a little disadvantage, that's when they clean things up a little bit. And you've got someone, in the last round it was Fatal, right? This round we saw a little bit from everyone, it felt like. Dante, right when they feel the pressure starting to build, maybe they find a little bit of a disadvantage thrown their way. They say, all right, it's enough, let's buckle down, and let's make this happen, right? It was a 4v4, eventually turned into an advantage for Lycus when they took down Ivan, but then it was Dante up above, Fatal and Matumbo down below, who just refused to go down without a fight. Dante working his flank up top, while the performance down below was still strong enough to hold off the pressure from Lycus to actually making that attack. You see Fatal with that final kill after Dante was so effective on that flank up top. It really was just another situation where it is Cruelty, simply the better team.
I know Pyrox. That's all I got, brother. I think right now for Lycus Empire, more of what I'd like to see, and it's honestly a little late to be asking for it, but better late than never, is again grouping up and trying to play the trades. They've done a very good job of actually trading each other out when they've been close to one another, but there again has been a desire from Lycus to match the separation that Cruelty are bringing on the map, which really isn't the way you want to attack this. There's a lot of Cruelty defenders who are out on an island, such as Dante downstairs inside of Customs. There hasn't really been a whole lot of grouping up to try and clear one man. It's basically been 5 1v1s across the map. Okay, I'm 99% sure that air jab was downstairs and Pyrox got hit by it upstairs, so I guess he put a hole in the floor, and he's gonna pre-fire again, and there goes another air jab, and once again, for Lycus, nobody really close by to try and trade that, although it is from within the bomb site, so maybe a little fair to expect the trade wasn't possible. Pyrox again from up above. It's kind of just the Pyrox show. This is getting tough now as Lycus continue to pour their itself into the bomb site.
This 5v2 now looking ever dire for Lycus. Once again, 1 minute and 10 seconds, and you lost 3 bodies on the attack. What are you really going to do here? Unfixed and Owen. Now, Unfixed has revealed his position, nowhere near his teammate as well. You could tell that Lycus have kind of just given it up at this point. They know that in a situation like this, they just have to pray that Cruelty swing them constantly and that Owen can farm some kills like it's a ranked game with everybody running out the window and looking for those kills. Of course, that may happen, and it does, but it is not going to favor Owen in that situation, and it certainly will not favor Lycus, as officially the half completed. It is a flawless half for Team Cruelty. Lycus unable to secure a single round. It feels, Flynn, that yes, we knew this would be one-sided, but you got to imagine that walking into Border, whether it was the intent of trying something new, sure, you could say that, but it does feel like this map, of all maps in the pool, was a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, in the ban phase, they left it down to Cruelty to choose because they had the final ban, and they left the maps available to them being Clubhouse or Border. So I don't think that they would have fared much better on Clubhouse, but it is a map where you can rely on your fundamentals and your strategy a little bit more than Border, where some aggression and some nice aimed shots really can be the undoing of your half. And we're going to get a tech pause at 6-0, which is very unfortunate for Cruelty, who seemingly have all of the momentum in this map. But it is very fortunate for Lycus, as it means there's an opportunity to breathe, and you're not losing a round every 3 minutes, and the score isn't getting further and further away from where it started at 0-0. Instead, there's an opportunity to just calm down, take a breath, starting now to change sides and go on to the defense. And that was a very, well, short tech pause to grab your breath, unfortunately for Lycus Empire. So, standing down the barrel of a 7-0, just like they've done with a couple of these rounds now, try to prolong the flawless, try to get one on the board, take it one at a time. It's still a nearly insurmountable task in front of them to win 6 in a row to force overtime. Then again, they have they've pulled off some heroics in games previous so far this stage. Not completely impossible. There is a non-zero chance. It's just going to rely on Lycus having a lot more teamwork and hitting some more shots than we've seen so far through the first half.
Flynn, have you seen Puss in Boots: The Last Wish?
I have not.
Okay, it's a shame. That's a shame. Because on the topic of kids' movies, I was thinking about Kung Fu Panda. Naturally, your mind goes to Tai Lung. Objectively, one of the best movie villains of all time. Only rivaled by that of the Wolf of Death in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. And I promise I'm not just a weird kids movie guy, but we were on the topic of cars, and I'm just kind of sticking with that theme. I'm well-rounded. I'm educated. I want to see the movies of the youth. And listen, the Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, that was Wish. Great movie. Highly recommend. Movie villain, the Wolf. Dude was sick. Gives Tai Lung a run for his money, and that is hard to do. It is hard to do. Right now, Cruelty, the villains here in this matchup against Lycus is, well, They are just stomping them. No remorse. Lycus have yet to secure a single round, and now have the opportunity to do so on the attacking side. We'll see if they can make this one happen. Of course, it's a good side swap. It's a chance for maybe taking some momentum back. But as we've seen, Cruelty just have been giving no quarter this entire time. You have the information. You see the pings they have on these players in CCTV and break. No kills just yet, though, so a marked difference from what we saw on that Cruelty defense. Obviously, Cruelty always starting the round with a kill. This time, almost half the round, in fact, over half the round has transpired, and we have yet to see a single gunfight occur.
With the way things have gone for Lycus so far, I'm just waiting for Ivan to hit one of these hip fires. We got top fires to the soft wall and towards Fountain as well from the AC balcony. It's Mutombo carrying the diffuser, and there's been a lot of reconstruction work done towards Archives. And it seems like there are no defenders remaining inside Archives itself. And it seemed like someone was going to take aim towards AC, which is usually never the best engagement to be taking. But Ivan gets dropped down to 20 HP as he continues to do battle with multiple members inside of CCTV. Swings out towards Armory Wall as now the defenders have vacated the position, but with 40 seconds left, it's Pyrox who gets the opening pick, make it a second now as Ronnie goes for the swing outside of Fountain. But everyone is wrapping around towards Armory, but it does not matter. It's a death wave in front of them as it's just Aphex alone in the 1v5 to prevent the 7-0, prevent the flawless round to close it out. He will not do so. Pyrox with 3. AK-12 collecting bodies with a urgency in the round and Cruelty. Yeah, they cleaned it up. 7-0. Can't do much better than that.
Walking into Border. Still wondering about that one for Lycus Empire. Maybe it was an accident, but there are no accidents. Korbeck will bring you back in here on that note. Another Master Oogway quote for you. Listen, I'm keeping it loose, keeping it spicy. Obviously, gotta do something to spice it up here when we're watching that. Unfortunately, it was just as open and shut as it could ever be. Lycus just unable to really put much of a fight.
I love Kung Fu Panda, so I'm good with it. It's one of my favorite movie. It's a great movie. It's a great movie. Anyway, whole franchise built on that. Anyway, we're talking about a different franchise here. That's the Team Cruelty franchise. Honestly, I mean, I kind of expected that we would see Lycus Empire pick up at least one round here. They just couldn't. It was very mismatched, I think, from the start. And I think, honestly, Flynn, you had the right of it from the beginning. Team Cruelty, very strategic in their map picks right there, just forced Lycus Empire into essentially an unwinnable situation.
Yeah, you have a newer, at least newly constructed team, the remnants of what was Orgulus coming together with a new coach. So you've got a lot of moving parts, so of course Lycus is going to tend to be more practiced and more favored towards some of the more default maps, like a Border, like a Clubhouse. If you're Cruelty, you have the opportunity to ban away more complex maps, like a Lair, like a Labs, like a Sky, and you can target ban your way down to a map that isn't going to reveal too much information. And both teams seemed willing to go to Border, both teams seemed willing to play gunfights, and only one team showed up in the gunfight category, at least for 7 rounds there, and that was Cruelty.
It's true. I mean, I still have not really gotten over Pyrox just randomly tapping rounds through a barricade and getting a headshot.
It wasn't rounds. It was like one bullet. It was like, all right, my gosh, boom, dead.
Yeah, destined death right there at the hands of Pyrox. I mean, before we go to break, Jonas, since we're being a lighthearted about it, I will ask you a question. Who do you think is the best player on Team Cruelty right now?
Quite a question.
Yeah.
Ivan, I think statistically has been the best player.
Yes.
As well as one of the most fun players to watch. We talk a lot about Pyrox. We talk about a lot about Dante. But hard to say given the stats right now that Ivan is not the guy. And it's been really good to see him kind of take that more top fragging role, right? When it was Pyrox last time, Ivan, that secondary entry, that second player overall in the team. You add Dante to the fray, and you're like, is Ivan going to be completely overshadowed? The answer is absolutely not. In fact, whatever has happened here, he has been boosted almost, taking a step up, doing even better as the stage has gone along. So I'd say Ivan for now, but every single one of these players, and Mutombo, underrated, goated support. Like, everyone on this team is absolutely very impressive.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I just want to know if there's one guy, Ivan, statistically, I think Mutombo is definitely an underrated support, really pulls it through when his team needs it, but the whole gang there just continuing their stomp of destruction here through the second half of the double round robin in LATAM North. One more match, one more set of upset potential matchups. Here we have True Synergy Gaming versus 6 Karma right after this. Well, welcome back here to LATAM North, viewers. It's Play Day 7 here in Latin America. I'm Corbeck, alongside me, Flynn and Jonah, as we get ready for our last LATAM North match of the day. True Synergy Gaming versus 6 Karma. Another underdog battle here at hand, because let's be honest here, True Synergy Gaming, it's been a bit of a bumpy season for them, to say the least. But Jonah, we said it last Play Day, and then they walked into a 7-0 defeat, but that's okay. We said it last Play Day. They have improved. They have noticeably improved across the course of this stage.
And they've been one of my favorite teams to watch because of that. It's been noticeable improvements week in and week out, and they haven't necessarily had improved results every single week, but it is a team that looks like they are going to get better and better as the stage progresses, and they have, frankly. I mean, obviously, we've seen Alan Durf play on this team, a fan favorite. We've seen Elizalde playing in his place. Both combinations have worked for TSG. Last 2 playdays saw Elizalde in the mix. See if we see that again today.
Of course, on the other side, when I say it's a bit of an uphill battle for them, it definitely is. 6 Karma has essentially been the undisputed second place team here in LATAM North. Flynn, my thing is, though, I just feel like they lack a bit of flash compared to Team Cruelty. I never quite see them pop off in the same way that I see some of the TC players do.
No, listen, I think Kurtz has been a welcome addition to the roster in terms of being able to add explosivity and be able to be a difference maker in the rounds. We saw in Stage 1 the 6 Karma roster just, I don't know, be very laissez-faire, to be very nonchalant about rounds, and they were never really dominant, they were never really bad, they were just there. And unfortunately, that same kind of performance showed up in the playoffs for them, where it didn't look like a real threat. It looked like it was the Cruelty Vasco game all the way to the very end, and it turned out being that in the grand finals. I think for 6 Karma, Kurtz is a different operator who can come in and kind of spark some life into the team and have some big impact moments in rounds. But for the rest of the roster, yeah, they are continuing on their trend of being dudes. They're dudes and guys on the roster, and they're kind of letting Kurtz take all the attention, but also have the most star power in the lobby.
Yeah, they are playing the game, and they are playing it well, and they'll be playing it on a map here, Jonah.
Yes, they will play on a map. You're right. That's new. Yeah, Border, is this real? Border is where we're going again.
It is.
Back to back. I feel like Corbeck, you may have known a little something about that, hence the toss. But that is wild, because another map where I don't know if this makes the most sense for a team like TSG, who is trying to pick up the pieces, improve week to week. Is this really the map, the frag-heavy, mechanical-heavy map? That is the answer. We'll find out.
Well, it promises to be a fast and furious competition here. Let's see if True Synergy Gaming can pull out an upset. Enjoy yet another Border.
All right, thanks, Corbeck. Border number 2. I don't mind this, though, Flynn. I mean, if you're going to see any map a bunch of times throughout the night, make it Border, and make it the fact that you just saw 7-0 means that, yeah, we are still definitely in on this map. Haven't quite gotten tired of it yet. The big thing here for True Synergy Gaming, and I think we're going to have to see right away the biggest difference from that Lycus game. They're starting on the attack. And so we need to see this team get some attacking wins right away. If 6 Karma are able to build that lead, get some confidence going, get that gunplay going, I'm worried about TSG and the second half, or the first half even, if they allow 6 Karma to thrive in the way that we just saw Team Cruelty thrive.
Yeah, I think we're approaching danger territory in terms of repeating history here. 6 Karma on the defense, on Border, able to dictate terms and deny entry into the map. So yeah, we do need to see TSG bring some of that explosivity that we were talking about 6 Karma maybe lacking through a stage and a half thus far. They will do it with both Alan Durf and Elizalde. Now who are we missing?
What is going on?
We got a revolving door. This was the Orglis strat in Stage 1, where it was very much a 6-man roster that would take turns playing game to game.
Missing Royce.
Now, apparently, they are missing Royce, which I think is disappointing, because I think Royce has actually had some pretty standout moments for them so far. But Alan Durf makes his awaited return to the roster alongside Elizalde, who had a really good game on Lair, and then, you know, the second game for El Salde, I mean, it was kind of just bad all around for everyone. So we can skip past that. We can go to game number 3 here for El Salde to give them a fair shake at it. I think right now for 6 Karma, they're gonna look to do exactly what their counterparts Cruelty had done just before them, which was, again, stack on denial of entry into the building, play as aggressive as possible without throwing your life away, make sure that TSG have quite the mountain to overcome when it comes to dealing with aggression, dealing with guns trained on your position. This is an opportunity, again, for 6 Karma to at least match what Cruelty have done, and again, with Revan getting 3 points today, you don't really want to let them back into the hunt for the 2 seed.
Caden, who's been the top player here on this TSG side, is one area he's struggled, as well as this entire team, has been the entry. Caden is actually one of the worst entry players in the league, despite being one of the top players, in fact, the best rated player on True Synergy through this point in the competition. And what that tells you is that this team struggles in the early round across the board. It's not just Caden, but everyone on this roster, despite the contributions that they may have elsewhere, it is the start of these rounds where they get the most damage dealt to them, rather than the other way around. And as we just saw on Border, it is more important than ever. There's a lot of maps where entries matter. Border, few more than this one. Just saw it in that last map. It is very important to get these rounds started off strong because they can get chaotic, gunfight heavy towards the back half. But that right there is a great way to begin. With removing swag, thanks to a good shot from Kronk, that allows the entry to happen here from Cuervo. It forces Rayduct into a position where he's going to take the gunfight with the Monty, and he's going to lose his life. 2 kills right back here for 6 Karma. Oh my goodness, a flurry of engagements here that puts this one back into a 2v2.
Oh, that's some unfortunate timing there for Alan Durf, as now Falls picks up a triple kill on the round. The Nitro will go soaring, but it will not connect, and Rayduct will disconnect from the lobby, unfortunately. And Elisalde, if he wants to do us all a solid, will take a breather and head to the roof, but instead, he's heading back over towards CCTV. So, might take some time here to try and suss out the 1v2 situation. Falls and Skimsy both still on 100% health. Elisalde will make his approach from the armory wall. On a diminished health pool in comparison to his opponents, he'll be punching open a wooden barricade which will reveal his position, and Falls will do the same, pre-firing the soft wall of the mini box inside of armory. Firebolt, though, into mini. Might push Falls back towards the window. Shots ring out, but over the head of a crouching Falls. And now Elisalde burns through a little bit more of the timer and hits a nice headshot onto Skimsy, over-aggressing on the swing out of Lockers. Now Smokes will come out. He is playing against the Warden, but no, he gets on a drone, and as he does so, Falls make it a 4K for him, and 6K will take round number 1. And we may require a rehost to get everybody back into the lobby.
Well, I love an underdog story as good as the next guy. And I think this one, compared to the last, at least has the foundation for it. Competitive-wise, I think 6K and TSG a little bit closer in the standings than Cruelty and Lycus. A little bit more competitive with one another. If I'd hazard a guess, this feels like a 7-3 or a 7-4, unless we see something dramatic from TSG here. This first round was a good indication of that success. We mentioned the importance of the entry game, and right off the bat, they started with a nice kill. They even continued that, maintaining the pressure, keeping the pedal down, getting a couple more kills, and at another point, even maintaining a 3v2 advantage. But as we talk about so many of these teams struggling with, especially those teams on the bottom when playing those teams on the top of the standings, it's trying to get through the mid-round and maintain that advantage. You might think, oh, it's a 3v2, it's a 4v2, you're feeling a little more comfortable, you're maybe moving around a little bit more freely. But when you're playing a team like 6 Karma, you are never safe. Very indicative of that there. A 2v3 that 6 Karma were able to turn into a 2v2 and eventually come out the victors of. Again, a large part due to their ability to just take gunfights and win them before TSG knew what hit them. But I will say, good start to that round, and I think a good indication about what's to come for TSG.
Well, it seems like everybody is sitting a little further upright for 6 Karma, waiting to get the lobby back underway. Actually, we're still in the lobby. We're just paused, waiting on Radic to rejoin, who's at his PC, at the very least. Seems he missing half his glasses. Is his arm on the left side of his glasses gone? I guess we'll find out the next time we see him. I don't think there was an arm sticking out there. Unfortunate one for Skimsy, as he's having to do with what he's got at his disposal. I think right now for 6 Karma, again, you feel pretty okay about the conclusion of that round. Even though Radic disconnected from the server, he had already met his maker on the ADS inside of CCTV, and I think for everyone inside the lobby right now for 6 Karma, the number one objective there is, again, play the discipline, play the trades, and while Skimsy got a little overzealous on the swing outside of lockers, Paul's made the opportune play to go for the swing as soon as El Salde got on the drone. I think for TSG, good ability to at least play the trades heading in towards CCTV, but everyone on 6 Karma showing that they're willing to throw endless bodies at the problem to make sure that TSG cannot advance and garner more map control. We're just still sitting here waiting for Radic to get in. He's so close. He's at his PC. Everyone's laughing, so hopefully that means we are getting closer and closer to Radic joining the lobby so we can get underway again on Border. And for TSG, much like I talked about with Lycus Empire, one of those situations where they have played top teams close before, TSG being that team that was able to send themselves into overtime and then eventually win in overtime against Revan. So it was a very close contest, and I said the same thing about Lycus Empire potentially being able to match up against Cruelty, demonstrating the ability to go toe-to-toe with Revan, and that did not come to fruition. So another roster cycle for TSG, playing with a roster that, as far as I'm aware, they have not played with as this exact 5 to this point. So more changes, more instability on the roster. It's an interesting conundrum for TSG to work their way out of against one of the best teams in LATAM North.
You were right, though. We popped back on Skimsy's cam, and he was missing half of his glasses. He didn't have the second side of it. That's a bummer. Alan Durf, looking good as always. He's got a lightsaber in his camera view as well. It looked like one of those expensive ones, the ones that you like as a kid. You're like, oh man, that would be sick to get, and then you just never get it. He got one. That's sick. I want to see him light that up. I wonder what color he's got rocking. Does Alan Durf strike you as a blue and green guy, or is he like a purple? Is he a little bit red, a little bit edgy? Well, what would you? This is the real important stuff here. What would you guess Alan Durf's lightsaber color is?
I'm gonna go green. I feel like blue is a little too mainstream.
Okay.
I think green fits Alan really well. You never know, he might have gone purple. But I think green. And I must say as well, a lightsaber celly in the face cam after a win.
That would go hard.
That would go insanely hard.
Oh, I need
enough
that.
of this jumping up, enough of the space station color coordinating your sunglasses. A lightsaber celly in the face cam, nothing
Dude,
tops
yes. I mean, yeah, you got the SSG guys in NA, right? They're shirtless. They've got color coordinating sunglasses.
Sure.
None of that would match Alan Durf, lightsaber in hand, striking a pose in the camera for all to see. God, we need that. We gotta make that happen somehow. I don't know how. I don't know who's got the best Alan Durf connects. But we gotta hit him up. Next TSG victory. For now, though, we'll see if they can pull something off here. Hey, just maybe this could be that TSG victory. They'll start with a round. Ideally, that will be the first stepping stone to greater success as they work their way into the building here in round number 2. You see that they're not going to be too preoccupied with the dangers that lurk above. They're going a lot more direct than you might expect here, and Caden will get a kill for his trouble. He'll work his way right into Swag, who, yes, did land a bullet, but Caden was much quicker on the draw. Danger for Caden now that he finds himself in a crossfire, and 6 Karma strike back quickly.
Like I said, 6 Karma not demonstrating any shyness when it comes to throwing bodies at the problem. 3 more defenders, after surrendering the opening pick, flood into Customs to try and regain the control, and they do so. But at the cost of 2 lives elsewhere, suddenly, man advantage they worked so hard to reacquire evaporates into thin air, leaving Skimsy and Radic alone. in a 2v3 and trying to push their way in towards the bomb site from other methods now as opposed to customs. Radux will continue to hold this, but two men downstairs inside of waiting room, and Cuervo wins on the swing. It leaves Skimzy alone now in the 1v3. Multiple attackers pressing onto the bomb site, and TSG will one-up at the very least what Lycus was able to accomplish. They level the scoreline 1-1.
Like I said, I think this has potential to be more competitive than people might think. I mean, on a map like Border, it feels like TSG were a bit more intentional going to this map. And it's very clear just in the way that they're playing. They're not being phased by any sort of malicious positioning from 6K or an aggressive roam or anything like that. They seem to have a very clear, very crisp plan of attack as they work their way in the building. And yes, it does involve putting a couple of players on islands, letting these individual players just kind of shine in terms of gun skill. We saw that especially from Caden in the start of that round. But that's having some amount of success. It carries a lot of risk to it, yes. But if you know that 6 Karma are also putting themselves in similarly isolated defensive positions, and you maybe have a little bit more information, you have a little read on that, you can set yourself up quite well. And I think that's what TSG did nicely there. And yeah, they're on the board just like that on the attacking side, unfazed by what looked to be a pretty extensive 6 Karma roam.
6 Karma collapsing onto the position, but just at the cost of firepower and the cost of a flank, as TSG seemingly sent one man in, like you said, Jonah, to take over customs, and while that wasn't successful, the overall plot to the round didn't seem to involve customs all that much for the remainder of the TSG roster. Weren't able to play off that deception and take advantage of 6 Karma's willingness to engage and maybe over-engage towards customs. Radek once again will take aim from inside a CCTV, swapping around the bomb sites now to Vent Workshop for 6 Karma. Not looking to run back Bathroom Tellers as of yet. Skimzy as well, getting aggressive out towards the front door. I imagine, again, much like we saw from Cruelty, we will continue to see 6K defenders try to stop any aggression and entry into the building. And we see this again from Radek, now taking aim towards the top of these stairs. No success, though, as TSG able to play safe and, most importantly, grouped up with one another, playing with the power of friendship. Try and pick apart this roam for 6K topside one by one.
Well, a minute in here, no early damage dealt to anyone. 6 Karma, as we've said before, loving this extension, loving this roam. And they'll do that again here up above, some presence down below on the site, but fairly limited. It's just SDK, and or rather, it's Skimzy.
Yeah.
Just Skimzy, and who else down there? Got to imagine Radek isn't going to be too aggressive on the castle, considering he's got that UMP. He'll be supported by 2 teammates in Fountain right now, so he'll have a good chance to sit back and support this 3-way crossfire, but Cuervo is still able to walk in and get a kill. Kurtz, he's in a bit of danger too, but there's Skimzy. Right on cue with a C4, and that was key. 6 Karma, the only reason they have the advantage in this round now, because of Skimzy. He goes down here, but using that Valkyrie well, good coordination between the team and that Nitro cell, but look at this, a quick comeback. A flurry of kills go the way of TSG, and all of a sudden this has gone completely flipped on its head. Falls in a 1v1 now with Kronk as they reposition on this top floor. The cat and mouse happening off the site. Kronk, his back turned, but Falls cannot land the finishing blow. Shotgun in hand now, he just has to breathe on this final player. And that C4, oh, if that didn't do it, I don't know what will. Kronk will relocate. What information do 6 Karma have on the site? That's the question. Again, it's just a bullet. Just a half of a bullet. A quarter of a bullet is all Falls needs to secure this. Diffuser going down. As he relocates, so will Kronk. Only 8 seconds, though. So Kronk needs to get this diffuser down. He cannot wait much longer. Falls looking for him. Hasn't found him. Still hasn't found him, and the diffuser goes down. This one's not over. Falls now has to drop in. His position, the more predictable one. Kronk could be anywhere. And it's very clear that Falls was lacking some information from the rest of his team. 25 seconds, the pressure now on Falls. This would be an insane 1v1 clutch on 2 HP. Falls still not dropping down just yet. Repositioning to the hatch. Kronk should have this. 15 seconds. Falls needs to go downstairs. He has to get on this diffuser, and he may just have to stick this. It's over. Kronk gets the 1v1 clutch. There is simply not enough time. A miracle for TSG. On 2 HP, Kronk pulls it off.
And Kronk, like you said, 2 health and a dream. Able to recollect the diffuser from inside of office, drop the bathroom hatch, and retake the site control. Falls has to play the top cover, but he doesn't have all the information necessary to secure the round. And just like that, it's a TSG lead. And I must say, the enthusiasm on the side of TSG has been a welcome sign, and also the willingness to really be the instigators. They are the attacking team. While they are taking their time to get set up in the rounds, their attacks are not falling as flat as we saw in the previous matchup. I think that's a really good sign for TSG, being able to push this, like you say, to a competitive match. And for 6 Karma, an opportunity in the last couple rounds, and all of them really have come down in narrow margins, but nonetheless, it's TSG able to clutch up in the crunch time, and now 6 Karma staring down a deficit that I don't think they were anticipating starting with, but nonetheless, it is the defensive side of Border. The attacking side should statistically be slightly easier than most maps in the competitive pool. And TSG now bringing out the Montaigne. We've seen a lot of shield play and talked about a lot of shield play over the days. The Blitz is banned. I think right now for the Montaigne as well for TSG, just an opportunity to spearhead more clears and take some more map control and allow 6 Karma to walk into the waiting arms of the TSG crossfires that have been well established so far.
This is big right now. TSG, they hold a lead. If 6 Karma can play like we know they can, I imagine this lead will be temporary, but TSG will relish this as long as they can. And look how tidy they're playing now on the attack. They know what 6 Karma is about, and they've been able to stifle that aggression. Being very careful on their entry, but still doing it relatively efficiently. You see Caden, the next player to move in down below. Brief flash of enemy detected outside. Someone might be looking to get a little bit aggressive from 6K, but there is someone bottom square here in reception. Caden wasn't looking the other way. His, I believe, scope blocking his line of sight, not seeing the player tucked in the corner. Kronk, again, he's been so clutch so far this game. That right there, a clutch kill onto Skimzy. Elizalde, Cuervo, Kronk, it's just Falls again. Look at this TSG team. They have come out swinging.
Again, 6 Karma not showing any shyness when it comes to throwing bodies at the problem, but they're throwing bodies to the wayside. Falls in the bomb site, falls at the hands of Alan Durf, and TSG call it 3 in a row. On a roll now and responding well to the full front force that 6 Karma are bringing towards every entry point they attempt to make on the map. It's 6 Karma surrendering a lot of man advantages early in the round. TSG, even though they surrender the opening pick, Caden downstairs, unfortunate timing with the housing of his ACOG covering the view of the defender in the bottom of the waiting room. As we see here, everyone else tagging in for picks, and everyone else for TSG, again, playing off the power of friendship, playing crossfires, working as a team, as one unit, to progress into the building and respond to the aggression that 6 Karma are bringing. This has put 6 Karma on their heels, now forced to go back downstairs to bathroom and tellers in search of a bomb site that suits their ability to reject entry, or at the very least change the playstyle, because what they've got going on right now is certainly not slowing TSG down.
I don't know if you saw Alan Durf's camera. Obviously, we saw the lightsaber again. This could be his lighting just not doing him any favors, or he could be drenched in sweat right now. And honestly, either way, I'm here for it, right? This is going to be a sweaty matchup between TSG and 6K. If that's been any indication of these first few rounds, we saw an insane clutch from Kronk that has just revitalized this TSG team. I mean, we've been talking about their improvement over the last few play days. They've been the talk of the town, or at least the talk of my town, for a good reason, right? They've been a team that is showing a lot of potential, and at least right now on Border, I mean, this is big for them. This is a fantastic way to start. This is one of those maps that is so unpredictable and could go either way at any given time. We typically see attacking teams maybe have a little more success on this map than you might on a map like Skyscraper, for example, the most defensive-sided map in the game. But right now, TSG have had a little bit more success than I think we've expected, and I think 6 Karma have expected. Much better start to this round, at least for this 6K defense, as they are able to take care of Caden, the top player statistically coming into this game on the TSG side, as we said before the match. So a very good pickup for 6K to get this one started just about a minute in.
Well, you touched on it as well in the opening rounds as well. Caden not having the best entry stats, even though having one of the better ratings on the roster. And once again, this is consecutive rounds now. We see Caden be the opening death, and very unfortunately for the side of TSG, and very fortunately for the side of 6 Karma, that's the Ash taken away. So these Miro windows that are now being employed by 6 Karma are going to last a little bit longer. Alan Durf, though, collecting onto swag as the entry into top east stairs. Successful, and now reading the aggression outside of the triple wall. Falls, goes for a swing, and he falls down. Suddenly, once again, a man advantage that was quickly earned for 6 Karma has vanished into thin air. Kurtz on the turn, can't hit the shot, but Rayduct has his back. Elisalde will perish. And now for TSG in an equal man count, trying to make sure they've cleared up the top floor, and they have not. There is one who has missed their purview and could lay waste to the rest of them.
Everybody's so low HP. Here's Cuervo taking matters into his own hands, but Skimzy prevails. A gunfight that could have gone either way, but now that will swing things in 6K's favor. You now have Kronk on his back thanks to a well-placed C4. So this one comes down to the king. It's Alan Durf against 3, but back-turned Rayduct ratting in a corner. And even the wise Alan Durf could not predict that one. Good response there from 6K. They narrow the lead to 1.
I think for 6 Karma again, you feel really good about that opening pick, and all of a sudden, you go for a couple more swings, you try to add the advantage, and it's a disadvantage that waits for you on the other side. I really got a question for 6 Karma, the methodology of attempting to continue to press the advantage once you've got that opener, because playing deeper into the bomb site and playing deeper into the map to play the crossfires seems to allow TSG to play against the clock themselves and to stall out on the progression, versus you're just swinging into people who are standing still, holding an angle, fully ADS, not surprised, and ready to react. And for 6 Karma, it's gotten them into some trouble for a lot of rounds now, where they are swinging into attackers, just sitting still, holding an angle, waiting for 6 Karma to get impatient and surrender their life. So, for the final round of the first half, can 6 Karma employ a little more patience, show that it is the virtue that is necessary to be a champion, and tie things up heading into the side swap. We're going to once again see the Montaigne come out from Cuervo. It's had middling success and hasn't really been integral to a lot of these attacking rounds that TSG have played so far. I think, again, the focus should be on not surrendering Caden as the opening death for 3 consecutive rounds, but Abasji will swing from swag as I talk about patience, and once again, it looks like 6 Karma to ramp up the tempo to 11.
Is Vigil's SMG just garbage now? Is that
Nope.
why we're seeing so much Boss G in like every single region? Do you know what's going on?
Abasji's just stupid.
I mean,
It's infinite range, and it's stupid.
but it's just, we've seen some cool highlights with it, some cool clips, but that's about it. Here it's about the utility, not necessarily the weapon. That's a good C4 from Rayduct, but it will not stop Cuervo from securing this defuse. It's speed this time for TSG, not wanting to mess around. Now, they have lost a critical component of this execute, but really, now that the diffuser is down, it shouldn't matter too much. 6K need to get going now. They have to get going explosively, and Caden, he is going to make that very difficult to orchestrate. Rayduct, it's a good trade from him, but time is ticking away. Kronk on the window. This coverage is free. As long as they deny this retake, this round is over. 3 bodies up or not, 6 Karma have so much work to do, and Cuervo and Kronk say absolutely not. It's 4 rounds on the half for TSG. They have come to play tonight.
That is unfortunate, to say the least, for 6 Karma. The Nitro Cell connects inside of Archives, but it claims the wrong victim. The plant going down from Cuervo on the Montaigne, and the coverage with the Kronk Finca LMG on the AC balcony. Good read as well from Caden to know that the vent window jump was coming. It would have been ambitious to expect him to read that there was a double jump. But again, the plant gets down, and suddenly the timer gets turned against the defense. It's usually your friend on the defensive side. This time it became their foe. And for TSG, beautiful ramp up. And honestly, a very good response to a lot of top east and a lot of break room attacks that have been successful for them. They've been able to garner a lot of map control and get a lot of man advantages, pushing into the top of east stairs, but they completely flip it on its head, change the tempo, change the attacking structure, and they get themselves the 4-2 lead heading into side swap. So for 6 Karma now down by 2 rounds once again. They now transition to the attacking side. Rayduck will once again hop onto the Montaigne, as he seems to be the shield player for the 6 Karma roster this stage. And I think for most of 6 Karma, the ideal situation for this second half is much like we saw out of Revan, where first half got away from you, and then you can win some rounds on the bounce to get your regulation win. And try to make sure that Revan doesn't sneak up on you on the standings, because all of a sudden now, 6 Karma staring down the barrel of 3 rounds until the regulation defeat. That means that battle for the 2 seed starts to get a lot more interesting.
Man, if TSG pull this off, that would be special. And really could mark a turning point in this stage, not only for them, but for potentially 6K and potentially for the last, 3 play days we have left in the group stage after today. A lot of possibilities here. If TSG can keep this momentum on their side, of course, that is a tall task now that 6 Karma have rotated over to the attack. And it's very possible that TSG could get a taste of their own medicine anytime now. You see this swift entry into CCTV. Some damage has been dealt towards Alan Durf, but that's why the dock is in play. Elisalde also feeling a little heat here, but again, with Caden alive, so far TSG should be comfortable to take these fights, take a little bit of chip damage, and get right back into the fight with full force.
The interesting position, though, is that they've surrendered CC very freely because of the Montaigne in their face, and Falls will get the opener on to Alan Durf. So there goes the Valkyrie that was healed up, seemingly in vain. Skimsy as well tags in onto Elisalde, who had taken damage on this armory wall prior, and nice pre-fire from Kane, but he can't find the headshot. The Montaigne has made it all the way into the backside of armory. Now a 1-for-1 as it leaves Kronk and Cuervo alone in the 2v4. Rayduck is carrying the diffuser and also going for the plant. The Zoto canister comes out in response, but it won't slow anyone down as nobody's attempting to aggress upon him. One downed with the DMR, but unfortunately the plant is successful for Kronk. So now he has to work out of a 1v3 in the post plant. The Montaigne dead ahead in front of him with an attacker on the opposite side of the wall. He's able to down off Skimsy down to the 1v2. Only one automatic weapon left standing against him, but the timer continues to tick down on 49 HP. If he tries to go for the long arm with the backside reinforcement, he will be spotted. The slowing down with the Zoto canister, maybe opening up an opportunity to down off the Montaigne, but he escapes the purview of that Zoto, and now the timer is going to tick down against Kronk. He is able to hit the headshot onto Rayduck, start going for the defuse, but as the timer's about to expire, it means that Swag has the free swing to claim the life of Kronk, who did everything possible, but just ran out of time at the end. It's 6 Karma, able to survive what Kronk was bringing in the comeback, but they at least cut the deficit to 1.
A very, very valiant effort there on the comeback, but as we know and have said so many times, when there is a Monty alive in a post-plant situation, a 1v1 is hard enough, but a 1v2 even, you are never going to win that unless the attacking team absolutely throws it. I will say, Kronk did whatever he could have to make that happen, including getting the kill there onto Rayduck just for fun. But again, with time that low, with 2 attackers alive, that is simply not a winnable situation. But for 6K, Sure, got a little messy in the end. That attack was clinical. They did not waste a single breath, a single step, doing anything they didn't have to do. Their point of entry was CCTV. Why? Because if they wanted to go for an armory wall execute, you need to make sure that space is clear so nobody can surprise you from behind. The moment they accomplished that, they directed their attention straight for the armory wall. Yes, they put somebody watching 90 to make sure there was the cross covered, but other than that, they checked the box, they moved in. It was that simple. And if they can keep it that simple, maybe TSG overcomplicated on the defense, now that is a winning formula if I've ever seen one.
You can see the response coming out from TSG in terms of the operators. The Tubarão returns. We got a prone peek outside of the armory wall that wins! Elizalde with an MPX beats the R4C to the jump, downs Kurtz, but unfortunately for TSG, that'll be a revival for Kurtz at 20 HP. I was saying before that, though, you can see the response coming out, the Oryx on Caden to try and respond to the Montaigne, with the Tubarão and the smoke to try and slow the Montaigne down in place, maybe gas him out, or utilize the intelligence from the Valkyrie cameras to use some nitro cells up against the Montaigne, and now Rayduct will take point on the push, and he will be dropped! Swag gets the kill on Caden, so now we've got two attackers who have been downed, but they have not been cleaned up, crucially. TSG dealing heapfuls of damage, but unable to cross the finish line. And now, the good news is that smoke from Cuervo will have a lot of effect against Kurtz and Rayduct.
See Swag repositioning on the CCTV window. Like you said, the utility now gonna really get important when it comes down to the wire. There's Alan Durf right on cue with a nitro cell. That's a big kill, because look who fell. It was the Monty. Now, generally, when you bring a Monty, when you bring a Glaz, it's pretty clear what your attacking plan is going to be here. Now, if 6K were to pivot at this point in the round, they just don't necessarily have the attacking force to do it, but they're going to have to. A minute is nice. You've got a bit of cushion here. But, ooh, Elizalde taking the heads-up fight with falls on the Glaz and winning it. That's big. A 4v3 that really feels like a 4v2.5. Kurtz is so low at this point. Jumping in the window. Skimzy gets domed. Kurtz alive, still fighting on 20 HP and a big kill against Kronk. But this one looks like a TSG round unless they can pull off something ridiculous. Swag getting pressured, survives the onslaught from the Durf. That means it is a 2v2 once again, and this one still a fair fight. Kurtz is low. Cuervo has some smokes, and that's going to be dangerous. But again, 2v2, it is still anyone's game with 20 seconds, Flynn.
Here goes Cuervo collecting on the prone angle from inside of Archives, and he wins again against the pre-fire. Kurtz was 20 HP, but it's a headshot all the same from the SMG-11. And it got a little dicey with Alan Durf trying to press the advantage in 90, leveling the man count. But again, strong angles being held, and crucially prone angles through partially destructed walls, being the kryptonite for 6 Karma that will prompt them to call a tactical timeout. Now, 1 round loss away from losing the availability of 3 points. We talked about the earlier results. Cruelty getting a clean 7-0 for 3 points. Revan having to have a messy game to do so, but they got 3 points as well. If you're the only one of the big 3 who isn't collecting 3 points, then everybody's getting a little closer to you from the bottom, a little further away at the top. All of a sudden now for 6 Karma, there's a lot stacked against them. And for TSG, just 1 round necessary on the defense to ensure yourself 1 point at minimum. We talked about how crucial securing points in this bottom 4 dogfight is going to be for every team trying to sneak into a playoff position. Maximizing the points at your disposal from here to the end is crucial. It's key. And for TSG, they now have the advantage. 1 round to secure 1 point. Only 2 round victories away from a full 3 to propel themselves closer to Revan into that 4 spot.
Well, a good overview of what lies in these next 3 days, next 3 play days here in the group stage. I will say that last round, not to continue to gas up Alan Durf. Of course, he's got 4 kills compared to Cuervo's 9, compared to Kronk's 13. But in that last round, the kill he was able to find with the Nitro Cell onto the Monty, the most important kill of that round. Because losing the Monty changed the entire round for 6K, and they had to completely change how they wanted to make that attack happen. Plus, we just saw how potent the Monty was at clutching up the round for them. That previous round, their very first attack, you know how vital that kill was. But again, talking about Kronk, talking about Cuervo, love that we're seeing these other guys stepping up now for TSG, right? It was Caden, the statistical #1 on this team coming into the day. Elizalde, he's been putting in some good performances as a sub, but now you put Roy's off this team for a moment. You have Elizalde and Alan Durf, and we're seeing this team thrive in the roster chaos that they've been experiencing over the past few days. It's funny because when Elizalde was on this team the very first day, subbing in for Alan Durf, we also saw the very same thing for TSG on Lair, right? It looked like a team refreshed, kind of a new look of a team that is continuing to build on that success week after week. As we said, it's been a rough start for TSG, but they are looking better and better, and here against 6 Karma, safe to say, they have looked the best we've seen them all season.
Got a Deimos track coming out, but Caden and Cuervo, they both hit the headshots, denying the entry regardless of a track. Skimzy, though, will trade out Alan Durf, but the damage has been done to Montaigne once again, one of the earliest victims for 6 Karma's attacking repertoire. And now the Deimos isn't going to be the answer to their problems. Skimzy's also down to 33 HP in his engagement. All of a sudden, these Capcan traps become a lot more lethal, with Skimzy able to die to just one of them that they miss. They do have the IQ from Kurtz to be able to help spot them, but Yellow Ping's coming out towards the blue hallway as he punches out the wall. Oh no, Caden! He misses it at just the most inopportune time. He will spray through the wall, the barricade gets opened up, and he'll sneak his way into the mini office inside of Customs. And he will get caught by Falls, as it's Kronk who's being deathmark tracked. But a good read there from Falls onto Caden levels the man count. Still a health advantage for the side of TSG. But 6 Karma from a 3v5 are slowly bringing this one back.
Well, they really have. Still down 2 rounds overall. Still a little disadvantage in this round number 9, with Skimzy fairly low at the moment. But as we've seen in the last round, it's not all about the health you have left. The fact that your gun is up and you are still moving around this map is more than enough for these players. At the end of the day, all you need is 1 bullet, and that is enough. Drone coming in. Kronk's aware of it. Knows there's someone just on the other side in vents, so he's going to reposition and play safe. Keeping an eye on it, though. He knows the rotate is there. The potential for 6 Karma to move around is there as well. Look at Falls repositioning. What a comeback in this round for 6K. They now have the advantage despite losing those first 2 opening fights, and Kurtz now seizing this opportunity to get this diffuser down. Good C4 though, right on the money, and Kurtz is sent sky high. Elizalde just has to stay alive. 5 seconds, big kill onto Falls. The last player, Skimzy, just around the corner, and Elizalde comes in clutch again. TSG, they move on to match point.
Give him the 1v3 from inside of the bathroom door. Look at the celebrations on the faces of TSG. Alan Durf letting his teammates hear it in the TeamSpeak. And that is the guarantee of 1 point at bare minimum. And it came down to the wire. A 3v5 to a 3v1. Disadvantage turned advantage for 6 Karma. Like you said, Jonah, remarkable resiliency in the round for 6 Karma. But Elizalde puts on his cape and brings at least 1 point to the favor of TSG. Pushes it across the finish line with this remarkable 1v3 in the dire moments. I think now for 6 Karma, this immediate response to at least try and salvage the map and get what points you can from this engagement really does have to come down to either keeping the Montaigne alive or just not bringing it all together, as we see for the moment nobody entertaining the idea of running the Montaigne. Still with some swaps, no Montaigne in play, so a complete swap in ideology for 6 Karma on the attacking side will mean that they're going to need to go for 3 in a row here on the attack, try and force overtime. If they are unable to do so, it's TSG walking away with the full 3 points. And in the byproduct of that result, making that run for second place in the standings all the more interesting as we close into the conclusion of group stage.
At the start of this matchup, I said, Flynn, that this felt like a 7-3 or a 7-4 kind of matchup. I could pretend that I meant it this direction, 7-4 or 7-3 true synergy, but that would be a lie, and I don't want to lie to the people. I figured 6 Karma, they've got the edge here, they've got the advantage. TSG are the underdogs. 6K should be favored to win this one 7-3 or 7-4. Instead, it is TSG who maybe have trapped 6K here on border. At least it certainly feels like it. It doesn't feel like TSG are stuck on a map against their opponents of 6K. It feels like TSG have set the bait, have set the hook, and are just reeling 6 Karma in. An opening kill against Kurtz on their very first match point. It's a heck of a way to start, and Caden here with the Boss G, the SMG-12 in his hand, is looking to do some more damage. Now, his position should be known thanks to the Dokkaebi, and he knows it, so he's going to drop down and rotate back towards the site. But he could consider a bit of a retreat to the top floor, and again, continue to apply the pressure that has been working so well for TSG.
I think this is a smart call from Caden to be able to push back up metal stairs and continue to slow down 6K with the Vigil ERC cloak. He'll be evading the drones. They have to worry about swag on the IQ to spot him if he ever turns that back on. But for the time being, he's gone undroned at the top of the metal stairs, and he's going to drop out of the position now. Vacating, and now again slowing down 6K with the deceiving information. For the time being, that's top control acquired for 6 Karma on the attack, looking down into the bomb site. But it's quite the horizontal extension, and now with 62 seconds ticking away against 6 Karma, although they do have armory control, they don't have much info on where the rest of the TSG defenders may lay. There's even a defender inside of ventilation that continues to go unchecked. Finally, Radok will open up the floorboards above. For the time being, everyone on TSG sitting comfortable and waiting for 6 Karma to come to them.
Is this not a perfect setup for a TSG win right now? They are in exactly where they need to be, and 6 Karma, they're starting to lose it. Alan Durf, another clutch C4. He's been doing that with the Nitro cells all game long. That now gives TSG a 5 versus 3 advantage. 6 Karma, heavily favored in this matchup, and now seconds away from losing this to TSG, and unless they can pull off something miraculous, Reductant Falls will start it. It's 2 kills, but it's not enough. Cuervo still here, a trade now, back even, advantage 6K, falls a 3K on the round. What a performance from him, and 6 Karma stay alive.
Refusing to wander off into that good night without a fight at the very least. Oh, it looked like it was over. Again, a 5v3 advantage, true synergy that 6 Karma had to pull back from the brink of despair, and they do so. But we cannot expect 6 Karma to do this round after round after round. It starts with the opener onto Kurtz, and it continues to snowball from there. That's also the diffuser surrendered inside of the bomb site with 16 seconds on the clock. So very lucky that 6 Karma were able to flood into the bomb site and get the kills necessary to end the round. Because if not, they weren't getting very close to the diffuser. I think right now for TSG, that's when you just kind of write off. You say, look, we had 3 rounds to try and close us out. Now we have 2. We had the first 2 picks in the round. Hey, we get to go upstairs to Armory now. Everything's still looking okay here for TSG. You're not really too panicked about that round. It's this round that becomes a little more paramount now, because if you let 6 Karma get on a run, then all of a sudden you're a little concerned about the run back all the way to OT. But that's, you had a couple opportunities to spare. Now you just can't waste what's still remaining in front of you.
Well, in front of 6K, a 2-round deficit still remains. Despite the flair, despite the fun of that last round and Falls making an impressive comeback, they still have a 2-round deficit to work their way out of now. 2 more match points for True Synergy Gaming. Not an opportunity they're going to want to slip away. Of course, we've seen this happen before, though. TSG, in fact, have been one of the teams to do it to their opponents. on Cafe against Revan a few weeks ago, the game that we said could have started it all. Revan got derfed after TSG took him to OT and took a comeback win of the ages. They'll be looking to prevent that situation here from happening against them. And once more, they will start off the round with a kill. 2 rounds in a row now, where we've seen them have this early round success. They just need to hold on to it this time.
Well, that's Alan Durf getting active as well, up through the 90 hallway outside a break room, and that's Rayduct again. He's had a lot of opening deaths, but this time, crucially, on the ace. And I don't see any more hard breach coming out from the lineup of 6 Karma. We find ourselves once again in a 5v3 advantage against 6K, but they pull it back to the 3v3. Always having to survive the rounds and never being in control, but at the very least, they've leveled the man count momentarily. They have recovered the diffuser from outside a break room where Rayduct had left it. But, again, no hard breach, so they're going to have to go through doors and windows. Now taking aim towards Armory, trying to flood into the bomb site once again and be successful. The walkthrough up the top of the metal stairs, it's not good as Skimzy, he will fall to the backside of Kronk. And now it's a 2v3 to work out of, trying to get the diffuser down. Swing coming out from Elisalde, he's on limited health, and Alan Durf will get caught on the flank. Elisalde loses his swing, and the man advantage, it dissipates once again for True Synergy. Just Kronk alone now. He'll have to do it once again. He's been the clutch master in attempts and successes in this map so far. And everyone for 6 Karma, Falls and Swag just taking a beat. Attempting to rotate now through CCTV, going all the way around the long angle. Evading the pre-fires now as Swag takes aim. We got Falls going all the way downstairs. This is a tough one now, and I think right now for TSG, they're blessed by the fact that 6 Karma are taking their time. Falls will now push in and he'll hit a goo mine, being caught in the backside by Kronk. Whipping out the DMR, now hitting the reload and hitting the downstairs flank. The Nitro Cell, it does not connect. Swag able to evade it and start putting down the plant on the bomb chassis. Kronk with the health advantage and Swag pulls off the case. Getting closer and closer, continuing the reattempt. Kronk has to pull him off, but Swag, he does not fake it the second time. He does pull off, but Kronk, he does it again. The clutch master, and it's yet another top team in the North that has been derfed.
Vamos! TSG! A 7-4 win over 6K, and the derf does it again. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. It would be a lie to say that I wasn't pulling for Kronk there in the end, because TSG, that was a hell of a fight, and they take the win over 6 Karma. Unbelievable. Corbeck, we'll bring you back in early here. Immediate reactions to this. I'm sweating like Alan Durf was. I'm stressed out. I mean, listen, I believed in TSG, and boy, did they pull it out. God. Ooh. Nice.
Somebody give me a Kronk jersey stat. Where's the merch? I want all the Kronk jerseys you have. Oh my gosh. You know what? Obviously a remarkable play from TSG to pull that out. It's the second time that they've done a big upset, to be fair, because they did the same thing to Revan in overtime. Didn't think they would be able to pull that off again. Wild. Just wild. I mean, Kronk was the hero there on the last round, but the whole team really stepping up, playing very well. And 6 Karma just lacking answers. I mean, I don't know what to make of it, Flynn, honestly, because we would expect so much better from the 6K side, and they just seemed bamboozled on a pretty standard map.
Well, it seemed like their defensive philosophy got found out very early on by True Synergy, which was we're going to flood any entry point into the building. We're going to throw bodies at that entry point and try to shut down via amassing a force. TSG Reddit continuously just posted up holding an angle, waiting for the 6K approach, because it would come every time. It was like clockwork. One person walks in the building, 3 defenders come flooding at them, and it's just, it's a buffet for everyone on TSG to pick up. And I think as well on the attacking side, so many opening deaths getting caught off guard. Even in that last round, Rayduct is just prone in the middle of break door as the sole hard breacher. He's just chilling. He's having lunch in the middle of break room door with match point against him. It's just a lot of weird positioning, a lot of weird opening deaths for 6 Karma, and TSG just constantly applying the pressure and reading their opponent incredibly well.
Really, truly, like, almost, yeah, a crazy amount of being able to read what 6K was going to do at any given time. I mean, you know, Jonah, when we saw Revan lose that match to True Synergy, that was, I think, considered to be sort of the nadir of their season. There was a ton of, saying, oh my gosh, where are we? What are we doing on social media? I mean, is 6K going to have a similar moment? We're pretty late in the season for that kind of freak out, to be fair, but...
This did not feel like that Revan matchup did against TSG, though. Like, and as much praise as we gave TSG in that Revan game, Revan beat themselves. They had 2 chances to win that in regulation, I thought. Like, they were at least, they were up substantially. It was at least 5-1. And they lost that game. In order for that to happen, something that only has to go well for your opponents, but it has to go horribly wrong on your own side. Revan owned up to that. They felt like they let themselves down. This felt a little different. I'm not going to place the blame even 50% on 6K. I think this was TSG just playing better Siege. They, as Flynn said, they had a good read on the 6K defenses early. They adjusted and they dealt with it. 4-2 to start. Amazing. And then they move on. They continue to do that on the other side, and they just played really composed. Of course, we expected more from 6K. There were a couple of moments that were questionable from Falls, especially. There was one moment where I was like, oh, that wasn't it. But for the most part, this was TSG just being better.
It was. There's a real spark to the team. There is genuinely a real spark to the team, and every once in a while it gets lit and they come out and they play a game like this and they look absolutely spectacular, and it's a joy to watch. It's always fun to see a team just hit their stride against a really strong opponent. So huge ups to True Synergy, but unfortunately that is our last game of the day. We can take a look at the schedule, put everything in a bit of a retrospective. Obviously that was a huge upset there, Flynn. There was a huge upset as well, though, down in the south. T-Rex beat Vasco 7-4.
Yep, I think everything else, I didn't expect Knights to lose that handedly to Alpha Team either in the south, but I think we've just seen a brand new Alpha Team that, I think I say it every time I talk about them, since the addition of Gasper to the roster, they have lost very few, if any, maps. I'm pretty sure they lost 1 in playoffs, and that's probably about it, and that was last stage. So it's been a while since Alpha Team has suffered a loss, and I think, again, a defiant win against Knights is very impressive. But yeah, the story of the day is most likely going to be True Synergy Gaming topple 6 Karma, and all of a sudden a race that we thought was finished is wide open once again.
Yeah, it definitely has created an interesting situation in the standings, because True Synergy winning this matchup that they were supposed to lose, Jonah, has catapulted them over Sintanegra. They're 2 points behind Revan. They are now nipping at the heels of Revan E-Club, with, by the way, getting the win over Revan E-Club already here in the first half of the round robin.
I mean, right, it's tough because you look at this and you say, okay, 6 Karma, Cruelty, locked in, top 2. And it would be a lie to say I didn't still think that was the case, but now that 3rd and 4th spot, right, now it's a real fight. Because CNE, we thought, okay, TSG, Lycus Empire, both qual teams. CNE, they're gonna have that 3-4. Revan's gonna have that 3-4. Well, say hello to True Synergy Gaming, because this is a team that is ready to take control. They've beaten CNE before, as you said, Orbeck. So I really like where this team sits right now. I think as the standings go, Cruelty, they're locked in for the playoffs based on their performance. It's safe to say they are not going to lose the 1 spot. But you're right. I mean, 6K, it's not over yet. I do still think this is a similar, the way it looks right now, I think could be the way we see this at the end of the stage. But considering we only have 3 play days left, there's not a ton of time to see all this change happen.
No, certainly there's not. As you said, only 3 days left, 3 best of ones to determine who's making it to playoffs, who's taking the top seed, though it probably will be Team Cruelty here up in LATAM North. We can actually look at the Wednesday schedule here, get an idea of what is awaiting us both in the North and the South. And the match that's standing out to me here, Flynn, I think the one that feels like it has a lot of importance on it might actually be Team Cruelty versus Revan. Revan looking to find something to spark off of. Is Team Cruelty a team that they might be able to pull a fast one on?
Potentially, especially if Cruelty are going to continue not really showing their hand too much and not wanting to reveal too much book. If you want to play just gunfight team deathmatch against Revan, we know they're more than capable of doing that. And again, that puts Revan back into a position where it makes them more viable for that 2 seed. Had they won today, but also 6 Karma had got their 3 points, then, we'd be saying at 17 points to 10, it's still a 7-point disparity between the two. It's probably 1 and 2 seeds locked up. Now it's only a 4-point deficit that Revan need to claw back. This has become a lot more intriguing for the 2, and especially as Jonas said, the 3 and the 4 spots. A lot of teams lower down the lineup getting some wins today, being able to prove that anyone can claim one of those playoff spots.
I'm not too intrigued by the games here in the South. I think last time we saw this iteration of the matchups, it was like a 7-0, 7-2, 7-0. So those were pretty open and shut last time in the South. Little different story, though, for the North when we saw Playday 3 come around. Now we're on that second round robin, so we're seeing those matchups again. It was a 7-4 Cruelty win over Revan. It was a 7-4 6K win over Cinta Negra. But my matchup of the day is got to be TSG and Lycus, because it is the redemption story for TSG. It was at that point in the stage that we were saying TSG have had a tough schedule so far. They should be better than Lycus. They come out on Chalet of all maps, and Lycus just wiped the floor with them. It was 7-1. But the TSG we saw today is not a team that's going to get 7-1 by Lycus on any map. So even though if you look at the last results, you might say that match isn't one to watch, believe me, that should be the match of the day and will definitively indicate if TSG have graduated from bottom of the barrel qual team to real competitive threat in this region.
Indeed, a lot of LATAM action still to watch here on these last 3 play days, but this will be it here for Playday 7. Of course, thank you so much for joining us. A big thank you to our casters, Gibson, Whippet, Flynn, Jonah, our producer, Crater, the Spanish language broadcast team for letting us be a part of their wonderful region. This will be my last broadcast here on the desk for the group stage of LATAM, but you'll want to tune in on Wednesday, see an exciting guest coming here to host these last 3 days. You're not going to want to miss it. But for now, from all of us here on the LATAM English language broadcast team, thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful evening.